Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Open. It is a Wednesday, February 5th, 8:48 a.m., and we are live once again to discuss the global capital equity markets. Folks, yesterday we had Google, we had AMD, we had Snapchat, and we had Chipotle. So we had four major companies report earnings. Obviously, Google and AMD were the biggest companies that we are going to be talking about today. Both companies, ironically, I know a lot of people had high expectations for both, but both are basically down almost 10% right now in the pre-markets because they kind of just weren't able to live up to the hype. Google missing on cloud, some metrics not being the best, although there was one headline metric that I thought was very bullish for the broader market that we'll talk about. And then AMD just missing on data center revenues, which is, in an AI arms race, AMD right here officially down 10%. You kind of can't miss on data center revenue since data centers is where all the revenue is coming from when it comes to AI. So both of those are down right now. We're going to be talking about that, discussing the implications of what that means for the broader market. We do have earnings today. We got Uber in the morning, Disney in the morning. So we're going to talk about those results, and we will also discuss Amazon preview as we have earnings for Amazon coming up tomorrow. Today after the bell, we got a lot of semis. We got Qualcomm and ARM. We also have MicroStrategy as well. But so far in the morning, we've already had Uber and Disney, and so we'll be discussing that. On top of that, you've got another stock that I think has all had some of us on cloud nine for the better part of 48 hours now, called Palantir, that is still holding 100. And quite frankly, it's holding 100 with some vigor. We have not seen below 101 on this stock in the past 48 hours, ever since after hours after Karp spoke on the earnings call. All yesterday, up 22%, end of the day, up 24%, really didn't budge. And in the pre-markets, it's down 1.4%, but it's still there. So while the world is freaking out and trying to figure out how to explain what's happening with Palantir, the stock continues to maintain momentum. And if we get our second day in a row of normalizing 100, it's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be pretty cool to see this kind of continue to play out. So that's what we got going on in the pre-markets. We'll be discussing a lot of other things. We also have some jobs data. We got ADP reports right now that were actually positive. So we'll be talking about that. We got some inflation stuff. We're going to talk about JOLTS and the implications of what happened yesterday. So far right now in the pre-markets, you got Google down 7%, AMD down 9.3%. We'll talk about Uber and Disney, but Uber on some bad guidance is down 6.1%, or at least some soft guidance. And then Disney is actually down 1.1%. I think they beat on the top of the bottom line, but their guidance also was a little bit soft. All right, let's get into it. Good morning. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And let's get started. Samir, Krupa, Scoops, what's up? Good morning. BSOV, MicroStrategy earnings this afternoon. That is correct. We'll be looking at what happens with MicroStrategy. I don't think there's going to be anything that different or unique. I think there's some storylines going into it around does MicroStrategy have to pay taxes or not, but I don't think that's really going to be that big of an issue. I think the new crypto task force, which was announced yesterday by the SEC, is going to be able to adjust some laws when it comes to fair value accounting. So I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue for MSTR. Also, unless Bitcoin goes to 200,000 by tonight, it's not really going to affect the stock. So earnings probably are nothing burger on that. Erwin, Gene, what's up? Omer, Alex, are we still dreaming? Palantir still over 100? It feels like that, right? Kind of feels like that, but it's not a dream. It is not a dream. It's reality, and it's happening for Palantir. Jersey Guido, what's up? Julie, Hardeep, Brian, AC, Elizabeth, morning from Miami. Elizabeth, good morning to you. Real quick, the Bay Area meetup. So tonight, you guys will get an email about the details on it. So I will send that out tonight, or at least you'll get the Telegram group so that everyone can join. So if you still want to come out to that meetup, it is going to be in Palo Alto. It is, again, 95% confirmed for February 13th. Here's the link right there in the chat. I'll have some more details on Twitter tonight and again in your email with the Telegram group. But yeah, most likely February 13th. And it'll be fun. It'll be a fun week in California next week. We got a lot of stuff to do, a lot of content for the channel. I think you guys will enjoy some of the content. So it'll be a fun week in California. It'll be a stressful week though, because it's going to be doing the market open, market closed with a 3-hour difference, which I'm not used to. But it should be fun. So more details coming on that later in the day. Gunnar, good afternoon from London. Good morning to you. Doc, good morning. John Tooney, good morning. Andrew, I'm Beneficial. What's up? Ali, Matthew, Christina. All right, let's get started. Oh, Sachin, Sachin, good morning to you as well. Sachin was supposed to call in yesterday, and then he wasn't able to. Sachin, if you're good for like 10 a.m., which I think is when you were going to call, so that's like an hour from now, at 10 a.m. Eastern, let me know. I'm sure people would love to get your perspective on Palantir, AMD, a lot of this stuff going on. So maybe 10:15. Just let me know if you're good on WhatsApp, and hopefully we can get him onto the show. Or I can send you a StreamYard link, and you can just click in via the audio as well. Okay, cool. Let's get started. So 10 a.m. should be good. Okay, perfect. Cool. We'll have Sachin on the show at 10 a.m. That'll be great. That'll be awesome. I'm sure a lot of people will be waiting to hear from him because you guys haven't heard from him in about a year now. So it'll be fun to get his perspective. Let's talk about the really quick macro data, and then we'll get into Uber and Google and AMD. We do have some ADP data right here. Private payrolls in the United States, 183,000. 183,000. I think that's good. That's a significant change from what we saw in December, where private payrolls were much lower. But the only argument you can say is like, okay, if we added so many jobs, then that means that we're going to have more inflation. However, given inflation was able to come down pretty nicely over the past couple of months with PCE stabilizing and with CPI, the core CPI coming in lower year over year, I think it's unlikely that the narrative starts taking place that if we add too many jobs, which is good news, that it becomes bad news for inflation. Like I really do think inflation's starting to definitively come down, even if it's not being shown in the data yet. You have to look at different data points, but eventually it'll show up in that top line data that the Fed actually cares about. Google right here, down 7%. So the S&P was kind of unchanged by the jobs data that came out. Overall, it's good if we have more jobs, more people have money to spend. More money to spend means that there's more products and services that can be bought. I don't think we're out of the clear on the labor market. I think there are some conflicting reports in terms of the JOLTS data and construction jobs, which took the biggest hit yesterday. And construction jobs tend to be a little bit of a leading indicator when it comes to unemployment. However, for the most part, we are seeing that job growth is strong in the United States. And as long as it continues to be strong with non-farm payrolls, which I think we get this Friday as well, then macro should be in a decent situation. So that's what we got in the context of macro. Very quick update right there. We have a couple of other things we'll talk about around 10 a.m. when we get some more data, but the private sector in the United States added 183,000 jobs. The market, by the way, expected 150,000. We came in at 183,000. So not bad. Not bad at all. Google. Let's start with Google. So the biggest headline to me from Google, outside of the fact that the stock was down, which I kind of didn't care too much about because I had covered calls on it anyway. So I was like, okay, that's fine. We're going to have those covered calls print today. The strike was 225 too. So it's like, I think it was relatively conservative covered calls, but Google getting pushed back to 190 seems like those will be okay. The biggest stat that I got from this, the only stat that I really cared about, is that Google plans to spend $75 billion in CapEx in 2025. That's it. That's the only thing that mattered yesterday. Now, that wasn't the best with Google. It wasn't the greatest news for Google investors because they were like, holy crap, dude, that's $5 billion less than Nadella. I mean, you're spending a little bit of cash right there on this CapEx. But obviously, if I think this means anything, it means that this DeepSeek stuff was nonsense. Like, the DeepSeek innovation around $6 million is not stopping Meta, Google, or Microsoft. We'll hear from Amazon tomorrow from spending money. Now, not all of that's going to go to NVIDIA. A bunch of that's actually going to go to Broadcom, which is why Broadcom was up 5% after hours. That was the real winner after earnings. Snapchat was up 12%. Then Snapchat gave back all of its gains because it's Snapchat, so why not? But Broadcom right here is up 4% in the pre-markets because a lot of that money the market's interpreting will be entering into Broadcom and will be deployed in a variety of the semiconductor names, which is why TSM, Qualcomm, a lot of them were up after hours. So to me, if Google is spending $75 billion, there's a couple of implications of this. Number one, the AI trade is not dead. Number two, the AI CapEx build out is still happening. Number three, a chunk of that money still is going to go to NVIDIA, even if not all of it, which means anyone saying that NVIDIA doesn't have demand from the hyperscalers, that is just incorrect. And number four, it means that we are legit in an arms race. We are legit in an arms race. And if we are legit in an arms race, it is hard to imagine that in an arms race, even if you don't need to spend $75 billion, the fact that you are spending $75 billion means that Sundar, which by the way, the call sucked. Maybe I'm spoiled as a Palantir shareholder with like good calls, but like the call was just god awful, so boring. You think a $2 trillion company actually puts in some effort into the call. It was horrible in my opinion. The question answers were horrible, wasn't fun. So the call sucked and the Google call tends to always suck. So and there was no real innovation. There was no real headline stats. They missed on cloud, which is the one thing you can't miss on. So when the quarter kind of sucks from just a perception perspective, even though you have some numbers that are good. The one thing that would behoove you is to make sure you let the market know that you're not being a laggard when it comes to AI. And what's the number one way to prove that you're not a laggard on AI? You spend more on CapEx. Even if that's a lazy way to prove you're not a laggard on AI, that is one way to say, well, Meta's spending 65, we're spending 75. Microsoft's spending 80, we're spending 75. We are still investing in our future. I mean, and the reason I say the call sucked is because they asked them specifically, what are you spending the CapEx for? And it was just like, I don't know. Sundar was just like, well, we need to keep innovating. We need to stay ahead and we need to keep improving our search product. And I was like, okay, so there's nothing that exciting that you're spending this CapEx for, right? You're just not giving us enough details on what is the extent to which why Google is so curious about AI or being a leader in AI or spending $750 billion. So, or $75 billion. So it just wasn't an exciting call. Nonetheless, revenue missed very slightly. EPS beat by 2 cents. Cloud missed, and this is such a small miss, but at the end of the day, it's like AMD. You can't miss on data centers. Google Cloud is their fastest growing business. You can't miss on that. YouTube ads beat, which was good. And then they had $100 billion of net income for the year. They bought back $15 billion of stock, and they're going to be buying another $70 billion of stock over 2025. They bought back $64 billion for the entire 2024. I think the market's reaction in terms of being down 7% was less about the call being boring or uninspiring or the market not having any direction on what is Google doing when it comes to AI, because after that call, I still don't know what Google is doing with AI outside of like Waymo and search. And I think that lack of vision, the same problem with Microsoft, right? What are they doing besides a Copilot? There's just a little bit of lack of vision there that I think Meta, we definitively know what they're doing. Microsoft and Google, it's a little bit tougher to see besides just the cloud business, what's going on. But I think the reason the stock was down is because it was up 9% going into earnings. Or it was at all-time highs. It was up 9% over the past week going into earnings. So given that the earnings were strong, or given that the earnings were good but not phenomenal, and the stock was at all-time highs, I mean, you would tend to see a little bit of a pullback. So it doesn't surprise me that they had a pullback, but it is one of those things where maybe if they didn't miss on cloud and they had a little bit of a better of a call, that wouldn't have happened. So is it viable, or is the Google dip viable? We'll talk about Uber in a second. I think so. I think if you're long Google, this is not something you get scared about. It's not a super exciting dip. I mean, if we get to 185, 180, it gets very exciting. But look, if you're long Google and it's at 195 or 191, it was at 191 a week ago, right? Like literally a week ago. So is it viable? Sure. Did it show any cracks in the economy, any cracks in big tech, any issues that we need to be concerned about? No, not in my opinion. So from that perspective, I think the Google call was kind of a nothing burger. The earnings was a nothing burger. The stock was just trading at all-time highs, and you miss on a couple metrics, and then boom, it takes a little bit of a dip. I know a lot of you guys last night said you're buying or you're selling Google. So let me know in the chat if you have Google and you're selling Google, because yeah, people were. That's what I mean. People were just upset at the call, dude. Not only was the stock down and people were upset, they were upset that just like the call was so unbelievably uninspiring. And it's just like when Zuck spoke on his call, it was just like, he was like, I'm Zucks, you know, I can stare at the richest guy in the world's wife and no one can do anything about it. That's the type of energy we got. With Sundar, it's like, hi, I'm Sundar. I run Google. And it's just like, all right, this is boring. This is just too boring. So I do know a lot of people said last night they were thinking of selling. Okay, we'll talk more about Google throughout the show, but let's move on to AMD. So again, I have no dog in the race for AMD. I guess I bought NVIDIA purely off the reason that it's NVIDIA. The growth is phenomenal, and I trust Jensen a lot in terms of what he's been able to do for building up this AI revolution. And I thought there was a massive opportunity after DeepSeek. I never really looked into AMD. Never cared too much about AMD. I don't know enough about their business. But a lot of people do care about AMD. And I think a lot of people do care about AMD over the past couple of months because people saw it as the next NVIDIA or significantly cheaper than NVIDIA, given NVIDIA is at $3 trillion, AMD is at $200 billion. And they felt that a recovery on AMD back to 200, which it was at in March of 2024, 220 to be exact, was imminent. That's not happening. At least not now. It's down 10%. And my understanding for why AMD was down 10% based on some of the things I saw last night was that they missed on, there's two reasons. Number one, they missed on data center revenues, and that made people really upset. Missing on data center revenues, that's just like, you know, not something they want to see. And then finally, they didn't give the best guidance when it came to specifics on AI. As you get, no guideline. And that to me is already a red flag, dude, just in terms of NVIDIA versus AMD. Jensen gives a guide every single time. Right? Jensen, every quarter, he guides. and NVIDIA guides, and they usually beat that guide, but they guide. For AMD to not give a specific guide on AI revenue, I mean, like, what are we doing here? Like, your biggest competitor is doing that. Like, you can't afford to not do that, in my opinion. So it was just kind of weird not beating on data centers if we're in an AI arms race. And you could say the analysts had too many expectations, but I don't think that's the case. I mean, like, the analysts are always going to have their expectations. If this is the next AI revolution, as Lisa Su was trying to say on the call yesterday, I mean, you got to be able to beat some of these numbers because NVIDIA does that. And if NVIDIA doesn't beat, NVIDIA is going to get punished as well. So it's kind of one of those things where you got to put your big boy pants on and be able to get these numbers. And they just weren't able to do that, along with not being able to give the guidance. KeyBank lowered their AMD price target from 150 to 140. They said AMD posted inline 4Q results and 1 quarter guidance. However, data center missed expectations due to weaker GPU demand, which was offset by stronger client revenues in the quarter. I would imagine some of that weaker GPU demand was gobbled up by NVIDIA. Data center revenues for GPUs exceeded $5 billion in 2024, but AMD would not provide explicit guidance for 2025, indicating data center, including GPUs, would grow strong double digits this year. Again, if you're not going to give guidance, what are we investing for, right? Like because the other guy down the street is going to give me guidance, and they're down 20% because of some Chinese model. So it's very compelling to be like, okay, maybe there's something else right here that could be a little bit more interesting as well. Additionally, with the ramp up of MI355 expected mid-year, data center growth is expected to be second half weighted, as the first half 2025 data center revenues are expected to be equal to second half. Despite the disappointment in data center, we remain overweight and are trimming our estimates and price target, as we still expect AMD to gain share and be a long-term beneficiary for AI. You had a lot of other targets on the street that began lowering what they felt for AMD. I mean, look at Citibank. Citibank lowered it all the way to 110. AMD right here below 110 currently right now. Citibank said, yesterday after the close, AMD reported decent results and guidance driven by higher CPU sales. However, AMD didn't provide AI revenue guidance. Again, a lot of these firms are upset they didn't get that guidance. And it appears AMD's AI revenues flattened down for the first half of 2025 with margin dilution. In addition, we believe there could be an inventory build in CPUs given the growth of AMD and Intel CPUs in fourth quarter 2024. As a result, we lower estimates and downgrade AMD from a buy to neutral, as we expect both downside risks to estimates and a lower multiple given slowing AI growth and margin dilution. The biggest issue to me here is you can't have slowing AI growth in a world where everyone's already afraid that NVIDIA is going to slow their AI growth because of DeepSeek. And if NVIDIA gets hit, AMD is going to get hit even worse, right? So it's like, I don't know. I don't have a dog in the race when it comes to AMD, but it was confusing last night to see that happen. And I think a lot of people got into the stock off the assumption that it's bottomed, and essentially people went bottom fishing, which is not a bad thing to do, especially on an amazing company like AMD. It's just for now that bottom fishing has not been productive, at least not on AMD. So who's buying the dip? Who's buying the dip on the advanced money destroyer? Who is selling? What are we thinking when it comes to AMD? Eric says, yeah, AMD is an NVIDIA. They have way less AI exposure. I would agree. I mean, AMD's growth also compared to NVIDIA's growth is just, I mean, it's not even explainable it's night and day when we look at how this plays out. AJ says AMD's a 2026 story. That could be possible as well. Kevin says, I'm not buying. Rome says, I'm out. Charted says, I'm shorting. All right. So you're really aggressive on the downside. Some people are buying the dip, but it seems like a lot more of you are just annoyed by it. Look, if I had AMD, would I sell here? No, it's at 107. I mean, like, it's down from 120. I don't like. At some point, you got to go down with the ship, right? It's like me buying NVIDIA at 139 and then NVIDIA goes to 160. I'm definitely not selling it there, right? If anything, I'm going to buy that dip. So I feel like you kind of have to buy this dip if you're heavy AMD, unless the thesis has changed. And I don't think that call was a thesis breaker. It was just the bad earnings from a perception perspective, kind of like Google. There was no thesis breaker on Google. It was just, when you miss on cloud and your capex is that high, it's great for other companies. It might not be the best for you in the short term, but long term, if you're going to spend $75 billion, it's because you're going to get an ROI on that. And eventually the market will reflect that ROI in the future. It just might not be today, which I think is okay. So that's what we got when it comes to AMD and Googs. Okay, let's talk about Uber and Disney. We got those two earnings right now. Let me pull that up. Let's get those Uber results, and then we'll keep going from there.
Uber just out with quarterly results. The ride-sharing company reporting earnings of $3.21 per share, revenue coming in at $11.96 billion. That topped estimates of $11.77 billion, adjusted EBITDA of $1.84 billion. That's in line with consensus. Uber reporting mobility and delivery revenue that topped estimates as well. Looking ahead to the first quarter, Uber sees adjusted EBITDA in the range of $1.79 billion to $1.89 billion. That's against estimates of 1.85. So the consensus is right in the middle there. Uber CEO Dara Khosrowshahi will be joining Squawk later this week.
So actually, Dara is going to be on in like the next 2 minutes, so maybe we can watch a little bit about what Dara has to say about this. So Uber, again, guidance was soft, but the overall numbers were relatively good. By the way, guys, we just got a headline from SMCI. Let me pull up SMCI right here. Is this pumping? Oh, wow. SMCI is getting a little bit of a pumpy pump. So headline on SMCI is that they are now ramping their full production of NVIDIA Blackwell rack scale solutions for the NVIDIA GB200. Okay, that's bullish. So SMCI says they are ramping up full production on providing the server infrastructure for Blackwell. There you go. Okay, not bad. We got their results next Tuesday. So hopefully those results are going to be bullish on SMCI. And if they're not an accounting fraud, I think we do get a little bit of a gap up into the high 30s, 40s. Right here, up 3.6%. It was up 8.6% yesterday as well. It got a bit off of that Google CapEx news from yesterday. $30.31 right now for SMCI. In terms of Uber, so some highlights from Uber's call. Again, they beat on the top and the bottom. Guidance just was not the best. Uber, again, is in a very particular situation because the narrative on Uber, which is why it's down like 25% since last year, is because of Tesla, right? And this whole idea that FSD is not going to be real. I mean, I told you guys a story of me talking to the Uber employee who was at the meetup that I was at in New York. And he was like, dude, I'm just here for the money. I don't really care about the future of Uber because they've given up on autonomy. And so it's one of those things that Dara is going to have to manage in terms of being able to build out expectations. Some highlights from the call: autonomous vehicle expansion. They launched AV ride hailing in Abu Dhabi and Uber Eats deliveries in Austin and Dallas. Uber One memberships are now 30 million members, up 60% year over year, which is pretty incredible. They have a Delta partnership. Uber is going to become Delta's exclusive rideshare and delivery partner in the US. And they expanded some of their AI-driven customer support and resolution tools. All of that is cool. The problem is that no one cares until you actually make an argument about autonomy, FSD. And we listened to Dara. We'll listen to him again today, but we listened to him a couple of weeks ago, and he was at Davos, and he just sounded uninspiring when it came to the FSD situation and what he's going to do about the elephant in the room, which is autonomous. But maybe he'll have a different argument today, and we can see a different perception from him. Because right now, I still think everyone believes Tesla is going to be the winner, and perception-wise, it's hard to believe in Uber. Real quick on Grab. So the reason Grab is down right now is because the rumor of the GoTo merger is starting to go down. There was a report last night that said that the merger that was the reason for why Grab was up 12% yesterday between Grab and Gojek, which is the Indonesian largest competitor, is not going to happen. Now, again, it's a rumor. So it was a rumor yesterday, which is why it pumped. It's a rumor today that it's not happening, which is why it's down 5%. I would not be surprised to see Grab go back to 450, which is where it was yesterday. And that's where it gapped up to 511. So I guess we'll see. We'll see. The volume on Grab was crazy yesterday. It was 7 million shares. People really got excited about that merger. I mean, is it going to happen? Who knows? I bought Grab regardless of that merger, even though that merger was a great catalyst yesterday. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it go back down, but it's going to be up to the street on how much they believe in the rumors of it happening or not happening. I think part of the reasons the rumor came out today for why it's not happening is because, like, if you're negotiating, you kind of don't want the media knowing about every detail. You kind of want to be in private to negotiate this, and maybe that's why the companies are rejecting it. Grab themselves hasn't said anything. Grab, the Gojek said, hey, we're not going to do it, but they are supposed to be saying that because they're a public company in Indonesia. They want the stock to go up. Grab hasn't said anything. Because here's the thing about Gojek. If everyone knows Gojek, which is the GoTo group that's going to be acquired, is going to get a premium of 20%, their stock is never going to go above 20%, right? Like if Uber comes out tomorrow and says we're buying Lyft, or there's a rumor that comes out and say we're buying Lyft at 30 a share, everyone's not going to even think of buying Lyft above 30 a share because they think Uber is going to buy them out until they get proof that that's not going to happen. So they definitely don't want that rumor out there, but you never know. Maybe it's real, maybe it's not. I guess we'll find out in the coming months if that ends up happening. NVIDIA is up 2%. All right. So I believe that's primarily based on the Google news. I have 15 shares left to buy NVIDIA. So I think I might finish that today, and then I'll have an official 500 shares. I think I bought another like 40 shares over the past couple of days in the 118 to 119 range. I got 10 at 113 on Monday. But 121 right here. I mean, look, if they crush earnings, I think hopefully the 113s off the tariff war that didn't happen were the least of our concerns, unless they just like absolutely like shit on earnings. But if that doesn't happen, I think Uber hopefully finds its bottom and we start to move forward in terms of the broader Uber thesis, or the broader NVIDIA thesis as well. So we'll see. We'll see how that one plays out over the coming days. Yes, NVIDIA is up 2%. SMCI is still up over 5% as well. Yep, SMCI is up 5% as they are working with Blackwell, and that's helping them out right now. We'll have Dara, the Uber CEO, on in a little bit, and we'll see what he has to say. Before that, Disney. So how did Disney do? Disney beated on the top and the bottom. So revenue was up 5% year over year. Let me know in the chat if anyone owns Disney. I've historically been a bit more bearish on the name than not, but let me know if anyone owns this for a while. I was thinking of buying it. Adjusted EPS was up 44% year over year. Revenue was up 5% year over year. Sports hit 100 million subscribers. Disney Cruise Lines had a pre-opening expense of 40 million, and they have a modest decline in Disney Plus subscribers that they're expecting for fiscal year 2025. Good overall metrics across Star India and ESPN. Bob Iger said, our Q1 results highlight Disney's creative and financial strength with a strong box office, improved profitability and streaming, and a key step forward in ESPN's digital strategy and resilience in our experiences segment. We remain confident in our long-term growth strategy. Okay, I see a lot of you said you don't own Disney. Also, the Fubo partnership, or Fubo partnership. We'll see what they say about that on the call, because I would imagine that's kind of important. But that could be something that could be, largely beneficial for expanding their sports broadcasting distribution as well. Here's Dara on CNBC. Let's see what he has to say about Uber.
They seem to be pretty good, but maybe you can disabuse me of that.
Well, I think they were pretty good. We actually saw acceleration. Usually as companies get bigger, they slow down growth. We saw acceleration in gross bookings, 21% on a constant currency basis. It was driven by trip acceleration too. Trips grew 18%, faster than last quarter. And really it was driven by audience. More and more people are coming to Uber on a monthly basis, over 170 million monthly active platform consumers, again, accelerating on a year-on-year basis. And we're able to grow the top line while growing the bottom line. Adjusted EBITDA of 1.8 billion, up 44%. For the past year, we threw off almost $7 billion of free cash flow, and we're putting it to work buying back stock aggressively as well.
Okay, and that's very important because people might say, wait a second, why are they doing that? The operating income looks like a big miss. But when you dig down the operating income, you realize that there is a very big legal issue to make it so that is not the metric that we should be focused on.
Well, I think what we do is we try to estimate as best the legal reserves going forward. It's not a part of day-to-day operations. And again, I think the truth is in cash flow, so to speak. And the
Right.
$7 billion of cash flow that we delivered on this last year is the biggest number ever. And we think it's going to continue to grow going forward.
Do you think, before I turn over to my colleagues, that there's still a belief, even though Waymo's doing 150,000 a week, which I'm still thinking is not all that big, that there is an existential threat from autonomous vehicles away from you, and that could be some sort of
This is the question. Let's see how Dara answers this question.
overhang where people are saying, I'm scared.
Well, I think autonomous introduces both uncertainty and a huge opportunity for us. If we look at the U.S. market, for example, we think autonomous alone in the U.S. can be $1 trillion market. And the tech is definitely getting there, but the commercialization is going to be much more challenging, right? To be able to deliver autonomous at scale. For perspective, we're doing 33 million trips a day, right? Those are the kinds of scale that we operate at. And a bunch of stuff has to come together. First, the regulatory environment has to get there, right? And it's national regulation, state regulation, city regulation. It's going to take some time because regulators need to get comfortable with this new technology that's operating in the streets. Cost of a mistake is really high. Second, what you need is a superhuman safety record. Like the opportunity that you have with these robot drivers isn't just to be better than humans. They could be multiples times better than humans. And I think the industry should take that opportunity and increase the bar on safety appropriately as a result of this incredible opportunity. Third, you need to mass produce these cars affordably, right? It's not about 100 cars or 1,000 cars. You need hundreds of thousands of cars. That is going to take a while, and the OEM industry is definitely taking notice. They're investing. But, these vehicle platforms takes years to develop. Then, once you have the vehicles, you need to operate them on the ground. Fleet operations, it's a ground kind of game. We're very familiar with that. We already have fleets all over the world. And then you need really high utilization because the cars are expensive. You need to operate them at high utilization, both during peak times and during troughs as well.
Right.
The only way you bring all that together, this commercialization, is with Uber and the AV industry. It's going to take a while. As that time passes, you're going to see a lot of autonomous players coming in with these big transformer models, with the DeepSeek moment.
Do you guys like this answer? Do you guys like it? First of all, it's a long ass answer, and he's saying a lot of stuff, and I'm personally not getting what the point of any of this is. But do you guys like? If I was him, I'd have just been like, guys, we can't do self-driving without having massive network effects. Uber has 150 million people. When self-driving is ready, you can plug it into our network. We're going to be a winner. That's it. That's all you have to say. That's like Elon saying we're going to be bigger than the next 5 companies combined. I mean, it's like a very simple thing that people can stick with. I think he just said a lot of stuff, and I don't know how to connect all that together to get bullish on why Uber is going to win when it comes to autonomy.
That we saw, the development of this technology is going to be cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. But we think that with the safety promise and with a partnership like ours, we can build autonomous to be a very, very big business.
You obviously have thought a lot about it, but we are getting a real-world test case in San Francisco, and I'm curious as to what you're seeing because Waymo seems to be doing fairly well. Are you losing share, or are people driving less?
It's actually interesting, and this goes to the scale. Waymo's doing a great job. Terrific partner. We're going to launch with them in Austin and Atlanta. In San Francisco, actually, Q4, our growth accelerated on the mobility business versus Q3. So it's just too small at this point to make a difference in the overall business. And this isn't like globally. This is just in San Francisco.
Right.
Phoenix, our business accelerated. LA, our business accelerated.
So you'd expect the same for Austin and Atlanta?
I think in Austin, Atlanta, it's going to
be your business anyway,
network.
right?
And so we absolutely do think it's going to accelerate because it's going to be a different product coming into the Uber ecosystem. And one of the ways that we have grown is building out all kind of innovative new product. Uber for business, low cost, 2-wheelers, 3-wheelers, share, high capacity vehicle. Autonomous is going to be another choice. And I think what you'll see in Austin and Atlanta is the uptake of AV is going to happen at a very accelerated pace. And what we've seen in Phoenix is our customers love the product. So what's wrong with that?
If and when there is a mishap, right, in a test market or as this thing grows, what's the industry response going to sound like to reassure the public that is still trying to get their arms around this?
Well, I think that the first responsibility of the industry is going to be to have taken the proper care and diligence before the mishap, right? And I think if the industry can demonstrate absolute care, these are real lives, in our hands on the streets, then I think there will be some forgiveness. And I think we need clarity about safety standards, and regulators have to take their time to figure out what that right safety standard is. Things will go wrong. They always do. The cost of things going wrong with autonomous is much, much higher. Therefore, standards have to be very high. That's why to us, the bar isn't human. That other human, it's got to be superhuman.
Yeah, I want to get to the stock price if I can, because our viewers can see it's going to be down about 5%. I talked to a couple of investors, right or wrongly, they say that the mobility guide was a bit lighter and they wonder why. So why was it? Was it insurance? Was it FX? If in fact they are correct in their assumptions.
Well, I think when you look at mobility, first of all, grew 24% on Q4, very consistent with Q3. There were some fears of a slowdown. It didn't show up. In terms of mobility going forward one is foreign exchange has a big effect on us. We have a really huge business in Latin America, and the Argentine currency, Brazilian currency, Mexico currency have had their effect. That doesn't affect the core business, and our costs and our revenue and costs are in local currency. So the effect on profits is much less, which is why you see the really strong profit guide. The other factor as it relates to mobility are the fires in LA and some of the weather-related disturbances. But when we look at the mobility business and kind of the core there, 24% growth, very, very stable, really strong, continuing to grow very quickly in the industry. And overall, you saw our gross bookings actually accelerate, which you don't see with too many companies of our size.
I know that Domino's would say our partnership has worked very well with you. I know that we see these situations like Walmart, like Costco, where they can have advertising be a huge line.
Yes.
How big can advertising be for you?
Well, so we've taught, one is advertising. We have passed the $1 billion mark, and we're kind of marching to 2, and our targets are much higher than that. We talked about advertising being getting to about 2% of our bookings on the delivery side. We think that can go higher. We're getting very, very close there. The demand and the growth that we see from advertising continues to be really, really strong. And as you know, it's a very high margin business that we can either put to the bottom line.
See, again, like, dude, none of this matters. Everyone just cares about, like, is Uber going to dominate when it comes to self-driving? Like, the advertising stuff is great. Uber Eats is great. Some of the stuff they're doing with expansion is great in Abu Dhabi and stuff. But, like, what really matters is the growth expectations and the narrative of the growth expectations. And I don't know. I don't get it from Uber. I believe Uber is undervalued. I've been saying Uber is undervalued for the past couple of weeks, but I haven't bought it because for this reason, like, I'm just afraid of the perception of the stock. Even though, again, if you're bullish at 70, you got to be bullish at 65. These numbers can't make you less bullish. It's just when you hear Elon talk versus Uber CEO talk, it's just night and day in terms of which one's going to take over the world and which one's not. And it's not like Uber numbers are so unbelievable that his numbers can do all the talking. It's like his numbers are the numbers. They're not like crazy numbers. So it's got to be narrative. And right now the narrative is just not the best. At least not the best right now. Okay, so we have Uber right here down 5%. We also have Novo Nordisk that reported earnings. They are up 4%. They fell, I think, 20% last week or last month after some new data that one of their drugs was not doing as well. They beat revenue by 4.15%, 12.26 billion versus 11.35 billion on the estimates, and then EPS 91 cents versus 83 cents. Their EPS is up 28% year over year. So that one is getting a little of a bid. I think Hims is up because of that as well. Hims continues to outperform, $42 in the pre-market, up 0.33%. And then Eli Lilly is also getting a little bit of a bid off those NVO earnings, up 1.33% here right now. So there you go. Uber, Disney, and Novo Nordisk. Those were the three companies today. Disney down, Uber down, Novo Nordisk, one of the only ones that's up. Today, after the bell, Qualcomm, ARM, and MicroStrategy, which MSTR, by the way, is up a little bit, 350. The Bitcoin Strategic Reserve update on that. David Sachs did come out yesterday and said, hey, we are trying to put the frameworks in place to create a Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, even though it's not officially done yet. I think it's going to take more time than expected. I actually think Bitcoin sold off yesterday because people thought that when David Sachs was going to speak, he was going to definitively announce this Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. Bitcoin went from like 101 to 96 last night, back to 98. But we didn't end up getting the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. So, and I don't think we're going to get it for a while. It'll take some time, but hopefully eventually that takes place. Grab, the reason why Grab is down right now is because the reports of the acquisition they were planning to do yesterday are falling through, and they're likely not going to do that acquisition, at least for reports today. So, I mean, look, it's the pre-markets right now. If you got Grab and you just want to get out of it, this would be the time to sell, because I do think at 9:30 we will probably get a gap down on Grab. Maybe we don't. Maybe this is a buy the dip for a lot of other people. But if those rumors are the only reason it pumped yesterday, they could be the only reason that Grab gaps down 12%, the same way it gapped up 12% yesterday. And this is just the nature of rumor-driven catalysts on certain stocks. So that's probably the reason we're seeing a 5.6% decline right now. We'll see if the street's able to handle it. Maybe the street doesn't care, and maybe they're willing to still hold it, even off that rumor not being true. But that's why we're seeing some of the pain right there. NVIDIA is green. NVIDIA, nice green, 121.72. If we can close today at 122, 123, we get back to a $3 trillion company. And I think that would be very, very bullish on NVIDIA, finally developing some support, really putting in a strong bottom in that 114, 115 range, and then testing it a couple times and then moving back up. So a 122, 123 close would be amazing on NVIDIA. Doesn't Grab need to hold 450? Yeah, I mean, I don't imagine they're going lower than 450. That's kind of been their support over the past couple of weeks. So I think Grab probably holds that level. But if not, we will find out later today. The dollar and the 10-year, the dollar I think is coming down nicely. Yeah, the dollar 107.5, so that's good on the dollar. And then the 10-year is 4.45. Look at that. 10-year and the dollar, both down. even with a high jobs report. So I like it. Not too bad. Why did Snapchat lose all of its gains from yesterday post earnings? That's a great question. The answer is because it's Snapchat. Like that's actually the answer. But look, it wasn't a bad quarter. It wasn't a bad quarter. Bank of America said, we are encouraged by Snap's results that continue to have a growing contribution from higher value DR and Snapchat Plus revenues and first quarter outlook that suggests limited deceleration and opportunity for new revenue drivers. They raised their price target from 14 to 14.50. However, user growth remains limited in high value markets like the US and the EU. The app transition rollout suggests mixed results, and big EBITDA seems less likely given growing expenses. Also, SBC expense exceeds our free cash flow estimates through 2027. So numbers were good. They are profitable. However, they have a crap ton of SBC, like so much SBC. It's kind of insane, which again leads to everyone thinking that Grab only cares about the insiders and themselves. The CEO has been selling stock, all that stuff. But they became profitable. They finally got this thing to become profitable, 1 cent per share. And so if they can continue that trend, I think that'd be good for them. They also increased daily active users, monthly active users, but I mean, for Snap to really maintain a pump, it has to like have a narrative defining move. And that didn't happen. So Snapchat right here at 1162. I still have 400 shares. I mean, my average is 1070. I might sell it just to put it somewhere else because I just don't care too much about Snapchat. And if you don't get the pump on earnings, I don't know when you get the pump. So might end up selling that and just putting it in something else. Where's Palantir right now? Where is Palantir? Palantir right here is at 101.96, down about 2% in the pre-markets. We got about a minute until the market opens. We will see if we can continue to maintain momentum on Palantir. Wow, NVIDIA, 121.78. Not bad at all for NVIDIA. Big Bear AI, this stock is up 11%. I don't know the catalyst on this one. I'll try to search it up in a second. It was up 16% yesterday. Could be getting a squeeze on Big Bear because the float is very small and the short interest on the float, I believe, is closer to 25-30%. So that could be a reason why Big Bear is getting a squeeze right here. NVIDIA up 2.6, MicroStrategy up 0.26, HIMS is up 0.13, Grab down 6, SMCI up 6% because they're now supplying the hardware or the server IT infrastructure to be able to support NVIDIA's Blackwell chip. And Palantir right here at 102. All right, here we go. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Wednesday, February 5th. Once again, the stock market is now open. Wake your ass up. Here we go. Second day of Palantir's history at opening above $100, 101.13 on Palantir. It is down 2.7%, so we're getting some sell side pressure right here. 100.9. Let's see if we can hold 100. Psychologically, that would be important, but we are seeing some sellers down 3% right here. Currently right now, continues to fall. 101 got a nice little recovery right back to 101, but it is struggling to hold 101. So let's see. Let's see if that can hold it. Wow, NVIDIA up 3%. There you go, baby. NVIDIA, 122.26. NVIDIA holding on. Big Bear is up 12%. I think you guys said there was a DoD contract, so that's probably why it's up 12% right now. And Big Bear is getting a bit of a pump from that. NVIDIA, 122.4. Eli Lilly, 837. MicroStrategy, 351. That's up 1%. Novo Nordisk is up 5%. Uber, down 6%. Uber is down. Grab, down 6%. AMD, down 10%. And Google, down 8%. Wow, Google below 190. Palantir is below 100. Now it's back above, but it did touch below 100. Let's see if it can hold it. But we are getting a little bit of some sell side pressure on Palantir, which I think is relatively normal. It's up a lot. But we are seeing a little bit of the sellers coming in. NVIDIA 122.45. NVIDIA trying to hold the 122s. Google not being able to hold 190. Nasty decline, down 8% for missing on cloud revenues. AMD, the worst, down 10.4%. Disney's up 3%. That's great for Disney. S&P slightly flat. Broadcom's up 3% after Google said they're going to be spending $75 billion in CapEx, which is the biggest headline that Google is spending that much money on CapEx. Roku right here is up 0.5%. Netflix is flat on the day. Nubank's down 1%. PayPal was down 11% yesterday after guiding for a weak 2025, even though they're buying $15 billion of their stock. So although I like the buybacks, the guide is just not the best. And that's why it's down. Next Decade is up. SoundHound's up 2%. Robinhood's basically flat on the day. Amazon's down 2% because of Google. Wow. I like that Amazon's down going into the print, but it looks like Amazon is down because of Google. SoFi right here, 1535. JP Morgan, 269. Tesla, 385. That's down 1.6. Palantir still holding 101. tested 99.75 for like 3 milliseconds, and now Palantir back above 101. The demand to buy that stock is just incredible. NVIDIA just below 122, 121.7. Big Bear up 14% on the DoD contract. Snapchat, of course, down 3.4%. I'm not holding on to Snapchat. I'm selling out of Snapchat. I don't care enough about Snapchat. All right, I made $150 on Snapchat. There we go. We're selling Snappy Chat. We made $150. I'm going to go get a nice dinner tomorrow with the 150. We're done. We're done. I've seen the Snapchat story play out way too many times. I'm not sticking around for that. Snapchat right here, down 4%. Just sold Snapchat. Bitcoin right here, 98.5. NVIDIA, 121. Palantir, thank you guys for the congratulations on the 150. If I had sold yesterday, it would have been $800 when it was $1,250. So your boy definitely locked in some juicy profits at 150. But look, 150 is 150. $150, even if it's not $850, it's $150. It's a lot of money. $150 is a lot of money. Citi raised their price target to 110 for Palantir. Dude, I found out some other price targets on Palantir yesterday. Did you guys know D.A. Davidson raised this thing from 47 to freaking 110? 105. 47 to 105. Talk about an upgrade. And then obviously we had Bank of America at 125. Citi today raised it from 40 to 110. I mean, you talk about the street being in love with the name. The reason this thing is not going below 100 is because, first of all, it's under-owned on Wall Street. It's criminally under-owned compared to how much retail owns it. And retail's not selling. I'm not selling. A lot of you guys aren't selling. And if you're not, if we're not selling, the sell side pressure is weak, and then the big guys just have to buy it higher. So I think that's why Palantir maintains the momentum. And I don't think this is all retail keeping it above 100, guys. I think it would be tough for retail alone to keep it above 100. So I think some of the bigger money is getting involved. Rocket Lab right here, down 1.5%. Spotify, 618. Celsius, 20. Oh my God, Celsius. This is a new 52-week low. Celsius potentially going into the very low 20s right here. Amazon is down 3%. So I think people have Amazon wrong. Amazon is down 2% because Google missed on cloud, Azure missed on cloud. So everyone's like, okay, Amazon's going to miss on cloud. I think Amazon's going to pick up the slack. Amazon, I think, is going to actually get a ton of that cloud business. And as long as their CapEx spend is not egregious, I think they actually gap up. That's my prediction. Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe their cloud business suffers like Google and Azure. But if not, then I think Amazon gets a little bit of that momentum. But right here, Palantir 102, Amazon down 2%. Where is Googs? Are we still crashing on Googs? We are recovering above 191, down 7.6. Who's buying the dip on Google? Who's buying the dip on Google? Let me know what you guys think. We got NVIDIA right here at 122, still holding it. Eli Lilly at 837. HIMS at 4260. That's up 1.8%. Google is down 7. Broadcom down 3.4. S&P basically flat. Disney's up 2. Roku's flat. Robinhood just went green. JP Morgan 269. SoFi 1539. Tesla at 384. Austin's buying it. PB's buying it. Nick's buying it. Jordan's buying it. Rick said I bought Broadcom last week. Congrats. You bought it on the dip. That's doing very well. And then we got Ulta right here at 410. Tesla right here down 1.95%. The reason Tesla's down 2% of the headline from Tesla is that their Germany orders came in 59% lower. So Tesla new registrations in Germany fell 59.5% in January. Tesla continuing to have some issues in Europe. We've seen this since really March of 2024, that Europe deliveries or Europe registrations, China registrations have actually been better than Europe registrations for the past year and a half right now for Tesla. So for my Europeans in the chat, I don't know what you have against Elon. Actually, I do know what you have against Elon. A lot of you don't like Elon, but still, you guys aren't buying his car. And that's hurting Tesla stock here today, down 2%. Is Grab getting hit? Grab is getting hit, down 5%. At least it's holding the extra 7%. So Grab was up 12% yesterday. It's down 5%, which is progress. It gave back 7, held 5. So if it gives back the other 7%, then we know that it's completely getting sold off from the acquisition rumor. But for those that are wondering why Grab is down, the rumor that pumped it yesterday going up 12% proved out to be, for now, false, which is why it's giving back some of that 12%. And we'll see if it gives back all of it or if it keeps up for just a little bit. Google down 7, Broadcom down 3, SMCI up 4 on some work with Blackwell. Where is Meta? I think Meta's still holding 700. Wow, Meta's a champ. Meta's a freaking champ, dude. Is Meta the best performing Mac 7 in the past couple of years? I think it is, right? Outside of NVIDIA, I think it's actually outperformed NVIDIA. Has it not? I think it has. NVIDIA was in 2022. No, it hasn't outperformed it. NVIDIA was $14 when Meta was 88. So NVIDIA has 10x, Meta has like 7x or 6x. Okay, so NVIDIA is still the best. But still, Meta, dude, 712, 80 to 712 in 2 years. I mean, just amazing. And you could argue it's still cheap at this level. You could argue it's still cheap if they can beat some of their earnings estimates. They also have the wearable devices that are coming out, which are going to be exciting for them this year if they can capitalize on that. Tempest is up another 10%. This stock is insanity, dude. This thing was at $20 stuck in the gutter when Nancy reported that she bought it. And only because of Nancy reporting that she bought it is the stock up at this point, 95% year to date? So maybe even more than that at this point. So I don't know, dude. I wouldn't touch it. I think there's probably a thesis here, but the pump is literally because of Pelosi. And so it's kind of like, I don't know, you either missed it or you didn't. Now, granted, does it have to go bankrupt? Probably not, because it's Pelosi in it. But could it go back to 30, 40? I could see that happening. But now that Pelosi's in it, it's hard to see it happening. So I don't know. We'll see. But if Tempest has a crappy earnings as an AI company that doesn't deserve a $10 billion valuation, the street will not accept that, regardless of if Nancy's in it. So if you're buying it, you just have to be sure of kind of where you think the earnings estimates are going to go. Palantir back to 103. Wow. Back to 103. Look at that. You cannot keep the kid down. You cannot keep them down. One of the analyst updates I was reading yesterday said there is no downside. They were like, we know it's expensive, but we also don't see any downside catalyst. And that's true. It can be expensive, but if there's no downside catalyst, could it stay expensive? Yes. Buying Google, poll in the chat. You guys can answer. Let's see who's buying Google or who's not. Let me check resistance for 104 on Palantir and see where that is going. 104 resistance. We were out there yesterday. We hit 106.9 yesterday. 104 is 65,000 shares. 65,000 on a Palantir. Amazon down 2.3. Google down 6, getting a little bit of a green candle right there. Tempest still up 10%. Snapchat down 3%. Nvidia up 2.3. Eli Lilly up 2. Uber down 7 now. Uber's really getting hit. And then Google still down 6. Where's AMD? Google's down 6.7. AMD, oh my, below 107. Oh my. Oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my. AMD, dude, goodness gracious. I know a lot of you guys said you were selling AMD last night. I don't know. I feel like sentiment, a lot of people thought sentiment bottomed at 130 and then 115 and then 110. And, now we're here. I don't know. It's going to be a tough day for them. I think they're not going to stay at 107 forever, but 10.4% down on AMD. Street's not giving it a single bid. There's not even a little bit of a green candle in terms of recovery. Google at least is recovering a bit. It bottomed at 189. Now it's back at 194. Meta 712, Nvidia 121, Snapchat 11, Palantir 102.5. Jose likes AMD. He did a good video. Yeah, I mean, Jose, this is his second largest position. Jose has been bullish on AMD for a while. I would imagine he thinks that this is just the street being the street because he cares more about the actual landscape of semiconductors. Apple right here down 1%. But we'll try to get him on the show tomorrow and get his thoughts as well on what he's thinking about AMD. Doug says we started at the bottom. Now we're here at a lower bottom for AMD. That is correct. By the way, we had a big news update yesterday in regards to, I mean, it doesn't affect Tesla directly, but indirectly. Figure, the humanoid robotics company, they're breaking up with OpenAI. They're breaking up with OpenAI. So they had an agreement with OpenAI to help build custom LLMs for their robots, and they said, no, we're done. So that was announced yesterday. I think there's two implications of that. Number one, the first implication, my gut feeling is nobody trusts Sam Altman. Like, I mean, across the board, everyone is just like breaking up with this guy. Number two, I think the LLM is really turning out to be a commodity. If Figure can figure out how to plug in any LLM into their robot, why do they need a strategic collaboration with OpenAI? Which then begs the question, how is OpenAI raising at a $340 billion valuation? I think there's something that we don't know about that the investors do, which is why they're giving them this valuation, because there's no way in hell you can give it for them to build a better model when we all know the cost to create these models are going down. which means the competitive barrier to entry is also going down as well. So I don't know what's going on with OpenAI, but another one bites the dust in terms of collaboration with them. This also is bullish for Tesla, in my opinion, because it means humanoid robots are getting more mainstream. Brett did say, the figure of CEO, that we're going to be announcing something big in the next 30 days in terms of a breakthrough they came up with in-house on their robots. And I think that just means the street's going to start waking up more and more to what Tesla can do as a public company that has robots as part of their business. Also, Elon tweeted about the robots yesterday, and he said the hands on the robots are some of the best hands he's ever seen. I'll pull up the exact tweet. But basically, he was saying that they're becoming very ambidextrous, and they're making a lot of progress in terms of the robot itself, which should be good for that inevitable humanoid launch. S&P Global Composite PMI, we're going to be getting in 3 minutes, so we'll be getting PMI in a second, and we'll see if that expands or contracts. The street's expecting 52.4 on the composite PMI, and they're expecting 52.8 on services PMI. So as long as we beat those numbers, that's relatively bullish. Even if we don't beat those numbers, that's okay, because that means that inflation concerns probably can quell down a bit. So it's hopefully a win-win, but those are going to be the numbers we have to look at. Google right here, 192. Google's down. The poll in the chat, 69% of you said you're not buying Google. 69% of you guys said you're not buying Google. So does that mean the robots will soon give us a hand with work? Yes. Hopefully the robots will be able to do a lot more than just give us a hand. Hopefully they can just do the work completely. But it looks like there's progress being made. I don't think 2025 is going to be the year where robots have their ChatGPT moment. I think that'll be 2026, but I think we'll see a lot of progress in 2025. And then eventually next year, we'll be able to get some like specific launches. And Elon did say, start shipping them out to different customers. Palantir 101.3, still holding 101. So that's doing well. Doug says, Amit, did you see the video where they're using a video of human movement to train the robots and they're in basketball jerseys doing basketball player moves? I didn't see that video, but I've seen a video like that where humans are hooked up to a bunch of wires and they're doing hand movements, and that helps train the robots. I think NVIDIA is doing that to an extent with their Cosmos platform with a lot of the synthetic data to train some of the robots. So yeah, it's a real thing and it's happening. And I imagine Tesla and Figure are doing the same thing as well. And if it can succeed, then I think we're going to have robots sooner than later. And what does that mean for Tesla's valuation? I think it just means that thing starts to get re-rated in a much different direction. SMCI giving up its gains. It was up 5%. Now it's up 2.3. Grab still down 6%, but it's not down the full 12% from the pump it got yesterday. So a little bit of progress there. Enphase got downgraded, weirdly. I guess the street didn't like their earnings. They got downgraded, even though they were up 10% yesterday. I don't know what happened, but I think it has to do something with guidance, because they didn't have bad EPS or revenue numbers in a world where solar has, been taking a pretty nasty hit. PMI, we should be getting it in just 20 seconds. Let's see right here if this has any impact on the market. We want to be above 52.4 on composite and above 52.8 on services. So let's see what we get right here. Oh, Chapato's down because their earnings sucked. They missed on EPS and revenue. Chapato right here down 4.2%. So yeah, Chapato is not doing the best right here. 52.9 on services. Okay, that's a beat versus 52.8. That's great. And 52.7 on composite versus 52.4. We have a beat on the top and a beat on the bottom when it comes to services and composite. Let's see if that's affecting the markets. I think the S&P is not going to care too much about that. It's actually going a bit green. It's actually going a bit green right here. Yeah, those are good numbers. Those are good numbers. That's not contraction. That's expanding. And it's also not so hot to the point where you think inflation is a concern. It's not beating by like 5 percentage points where it's like, oh my God, we have too much spending. We have too much expansion. That's going to be bad for inflation. It was a modest beat, which is good. It's not great, which is also good when it comes to inflation not being as bad either. So there you go. For those complaining about the Chapato pronunciation, it's okay to be wrong, but don't be intellectually dishonest with yourself about the etymology of certain words. So you can complain all you want, but I just want you to know it's okay to be wrong. Even if you heard me say Chipotle yesterday, whatever word that is, even if you heard me say the word Chipotle yesterday on stream, that was a Freudian slip. That wasn't real. That was an accident. I meant to say Chapato. I don't know how Chipotle came out, but somehow that happened yesterday. They're down 3.94% though. Let me pull up their earnings because the street did not like it. And I think it's primarily because of guidance. Now, also, they lost their best CEO, which was Brian, and that didn't help them either. Now that he's in Starbucks. Here's the quick update from Chipotle, and then we'll keep going from there.
Is the numbers for us. Yeah, making me hungry, Morgan. So Chipotle putting up earnings per share. This is
She doesn't know how to say it either. That's okay.
a beat at 25 cents adjusted. The street was looking for 24 cents, so 1 penny, but it counts. Chipotle revenues coming in about in line at 2.85 billion. The comparable sales a little light, up 5.4%. The street was looking for those to grow 5.7%. The company does note it was driven by 4% transaction growth. And then the full year comparable sales growth, pretty much in line with expectations, are calling it low to mid single digits, and the street account is looking for an estimate there of 5.4%.
So again, missed on guidance, wasn't that exciting, and that's why they were down about 3.4%. Nothing that interesting on them. Amazon right here down 2, Palantir 102, Meta 716. Wow, new all-time high for Meta. Holy crap, new all-time high for Meta. Enphase is down, Googs is still down, Tesla's down 2%, AMD continues to get destroyed, almost down 11% right now, just below 107. Meta continues to crush. Uber down 6%. Grab actually. Again, guys, the only reason Grab pumped 12% was because of a rumor yesterday. It's only down 4.7, which means they're keeping about 7.3% of the gains off of a rumor that's not happening, which is actually really bullish to me, because theoretically, if the rumor is fake, everything should go away if that's the only reason it pumped. So you got some buyers that stepped in that don't really care about the rumor being fake. They continue to hold, which is actually not too bad for Grab right here. Hood 5290. Dude, Hood's going to crush earnings. Hood's going to crush earnings. Next week's going to be fun. Next week's now, will the stock react to Hood crushing earnings? I don't know, because the stock is up a lot. I mean, I just can't. I mean, I have no clue, dude. Do I think the stock could hit 55 going into the end of February? Yes, I really do. I think when you look at the valuation, the growth estimates, January numbers, I think there's a shot I can get to 60, dude. I really do. But my bull case is kind of 55 after earnings, if we think earnings is amazing. But do I see it going back to 47? Yeah, it's up a lot, man. It could. There's a world where the street just sells the news, and that happens all the time. But as an actual investor, not just a trader in Robinhood, I think the earnings are going to be so amazing, and the company is going to have a different direction that they guide for in terms of just like the future vision of their TAM. And I think Q4 is going to be an embodiment of that. So it'll be fun. It'll be super fun to see what happens. Also, I think it's a given they're getting into the S&P. Maybe it doesn't happen in March, but I think by June, if not by December, they're getting into the S&P. And that's going to be a whole nother catalyst for them. Because there's like, what other candidates are there that deserve to be there? There's definitely a lot of candidates that deserve to get out of the S&P, and Hood's on the list to get in. PayPal getting a little recovery from yesterday, down 11%. Now it's up 1%. JP Morgan's up 0.5%. SoFi, this stock, dude, the sentiment on SoFi. Do you guys feel the same about the sentiment on SoFi that I'm seeing on Twitter? It is god awful. It is bad. By the way, 69% of you said no, you're not buying Google on the poll. The amount of tweets that I'm seeing that SoFi is dead, the tech platform is dead, Anthony Noto doesn't care about shareholders. And by the way, I'm seeing this from SoFi bulls. Like, not even SoFi bears. The SoFi bears don't even care enough to tweet about this anymore. I'm seeing SoFi bulls like tag Anthony Noto and like tell him, hey, like, get your shit together. Why is this stock trading off like this? So I don't know. I think sentiment's getting so bad on SoFi, and does sentiment deserve to be this bad? Not really. I mean, this thing's up 130% in the past 7 months. I don't think it deserves to be here, but I do think people were pissed off with 2025 guidance. And a lot of people have told themselves Noto needs to get the stock to 45 to get all of his performance stock options, and it's not really close to getting there. So people thought they couldn't have a crappy guidance, because then how do you get close to 45? And so now I think a lot of people are accepting that it might just not get to 45. I still think there's a chance. I just think sentiment's getting really bad on this name right now. It's getting really, really bad. Where's Big Bear AI? BBAI is up 16%. This one, DoD contract, that one doing very, very well. Let me see if I can close my covered call on Google, because I had one. Let's see how much that's up. So I have 2 long calls on Google that I sold 2 short calls against. Are those up? Yeah, I'm going to close that. All right, so I'm up 90% on this. So I had 2 long calls at Google, January 2026, 150 strikes. I sold 225s against them, which means I was betting Google by February 28th would not be $225. Google tanked today, and so you can see the price of the option is down by 94.5%. So as an option seller, I want 94%. I want it to go to zero, because if it goes to zero, then I get to collect all the premium. So I'm going to close that out right now. It's up 90%. There's no point of waiting another month, another 28 days just to close this out. So we're going to buy this back. And a big thank you to all the gamblers who bought those calls on Google from myself, who sold you those beautiful drugs at $225 on Google. Now, it would have been a different story if Google was $220 today. I'd have been like, oh, damn, the gamblers won. But thankfully, the gamblers didn't win. Not this time. Robin at 52.77, Big Bear up 15%. By the way, guys, Sachin is going to be joining in about 10 minutes. Sachin is an OG Palantir bull. For those that don't know, he's been in this name since $8. He kind of went all in on margin when it was $8 2 years ago. So we haven't heard from him in a while. We'll get his thoughts on everything in the markets, Palantir, AMD, because he's also an AMD bull, etc. Sachin says, SoFi bulls want to reach 45 in 3 months. The stock has reached 18 while it was 6 in August. As CEO Noto is managing long-term expectations and growth and to keep shorts at bay. That's another good point. Sachin brings up that SoFi is still 12% short. And now the shorts are probably getting excited because they saw the earnings dump that tends to always happen from SoFi. And, they tend to think that, all right, SoFi is going to go back into its pattern. And so they might continuing to be doubling down on their short. And eventually Noto's got to do something to stop that from getting aggressive. But that could be another reason why SoFi is stuck in the gutter right here. Where is Celsius? Celsius, are we below 22 yet? Celsius is 22.6. Celsius 22.6. Boeing right here. Boeing is green, up 2%. Nice on Boeing. Costco, by the way, they avoided that strike. They were going to have, wow, when did Costco get above 1,000? Did anyone see Costco get above 1,000? Did anyone see that happen? I've not seen that happen. When did that happen? I guess we're here. Last time I checked, Costco was like 9.55. Costco's PE is at 60. No one tell me Palantir's overvalued, okay? No one. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. People are paying 60 times earnings for Costco. We can pay 544 times earnings for Palantir, okay? Palantir's got an ontology. Costco's got a double chunk chocolate cookie. So I don't want to hear it. Drago says Palantir is cheap. I mean, look, Palantir is
powerful as fuck.
It is what it is, bro. It is what it is. Now, obviously, I'm just kidding here, but Costco, when did this? I didn't know this thing went over 1,000 last week. I didn't know that happened. I did not know that happened, but there it is. Costco's been just one of the most resilient stocks, bro. Target, Walmart, Home Depot, all of them have had their dips. Costco just kept chugging along. Meta right here, 714, Tempest 68, Amazon 236, Nvidia 122, and HIMS at 43.57, Novo Nordisk at 86. Grabs down 4.7, SMCI right here up 3.84%. SMCI reports earnings soon. Those SMCI calls that I bought, they are down 12%. They were down like 30% when Nvidia dropped. So we're making some progress on that. And we'll see what happens next week with their earnings. Is HIMS up again? Is HIMS pumping? Dude, HIMS is really him. Wow, HIMS 43.45. My goodness. 43.45 on HIMS. Oh my. Dude, what if we all just bought HIMS in January and called it a year? I mean, shit. Thing's up 70% year to date at this point. This thing, wait, is it? Hold on, how much is it up? HIMS is up year to date 72%, bro. Like, shout out to the HIMS bulls, guys. I mean, if you're bullish, you got it right. You got it absolutely right. And you also held through that stupid Bank of America report that came out 3 weeks ago that said HIMS is gonna. They literally said HIMS is gonna just be horrible on Q4. It was a really bearish report. And the argument was just like, sell it. They're going to mess up Q4 badly, yada, yada. Now, they haven't had Q4 earnings yet, and maybe that actually does happen. But so far, the market's saying that HIMS is fine. And granted, when you're up 72% going into earnings, I mean, the potential to miss a metric and fall is likely, or it's possible. But in general, up 3% is doing great. Is it too late to buy HIMS now? I just don't know enough about the business. The HIMS bulls would say no because the growth is amazing and the estimates are still low, and they're probably right about that. But personally, after it goes up 72%, I don't know, dude. I just feel like there's other safer stuff that I'd buy. Like, I'd rather buy Nvidia over HIMS. HIMS probably outperforms. potentially even from this range, but I just feel safer knowing I'm getting NVIDIA at a discount versus HIMS I'm buying at all-time highs, literally, right? So it's a little tougher to get excited about it. Uber already had earnings today, Jeff. They already had earnings. They beat on the top and the bottom. They had bad guidance. That's why Uber is down 6%. But they already had earnings today. Estee Lauder is down 3%. Ulta is down 0.23. That also messed up Elf, which, wow, Elf below 90, down 2.3. Goodness freaking gracious. This one cannot catch a break. Cannot catch a break. What about Hood? When is the time to jump in and get some Hood? I mean, look, I like Hood, bro. In fact, I'm going to buy 15 shares of Hood right now. We're going to use some of those Snapchat profits to buy some Hood. I'm buying Hood at these levels, okay? But I'm buying Hood because I've been in this thing since $8. And I believe in the long-term vision. I genuinely think this is going to be a triple-digit stock in the next couple of years. It could happen by the end of this year, to be honest, if momentum stays strong. And I just believe in their vision. And my adjusted cost basis on the shares is like 23 because of all the puts and calls. Well, puts I've been selling, not calls. But I've been able to generate against it. And I mean, I got kind of lucky in January, dude. I sold a really aggressive put and it worked out very nicely. So it dramatically decreased my cost basis. But the good thing about Hood is that if you believe in the long-term vision, if you get assigned on the puts, okay, you take the shares. If not, then you just keep collecting the premium and reducing your adjusted cost basis. So when it comes to from that perspective, do I believe Hood can be $80 by the end of the year and pull a little bit of a Palantir? Yeah, because I think they're going to have the growth to justify it. Is it more expensive at this level than it was when it was at 38? Of course, right? But it just depends. If Vlad puts up another stellar Q1, not Q4, we know Q4 is going to be good. That's priced in. But Q1, if he can replicate 30% growth off of the tough comps from 2024, there's not that many fintechs that are growing like this. I mean, what other fintech is actually growing, executing, innovating, getting invited into the S&P 500, which I think is going to happen, getting all the media attention. I mean, really becoming that name. There's not a lot out there. There's not a lot. I mean, there's really none other than Hood, in my opinion. So I think Hood has a little bit of a Palantir effect in terms of Palantir is one of the only software plays that fits in the AI thematic that people care about, and that's why it gets the premium. Hood is getting a premium, even though it's not an egregious premium at all, because they're living up to the growth expectations, and they're perceived as just like that fintech that's going to be one of the most important ones in the world. So yeah, I'm buying right now, and I have no problem buying, and I'm not going to make the same mistake I made on Palantir, which is I'm not going to wait till Robinhood gets to 100 to buy more Robinhood. You know what I mean? Like, I made that mistake on Palantir. It is what it is. You learn from your mistakes, and you try not to replicate them. So, but could Hood fall back to 45? Yes, it could. It could actually happen after earnings. I'm also not buying puts. Someone asked, "Are you buying puts before earnings?" No, I'm not a pussy. Shout out to Jason. I hope he hears this. Someone clip it, send it to him. But no, I'm not buying puts, dude. I think it'll be fine. And if it goes down, I'll just buy more shares. Let's see. UPS, or not UPS, but United States Postal Service, they're not shipping to China anymore. That news came out yesterday, which I think has to have some implications with the tariff stuff that we saw. So that's something we got to watch out for. Where's FXI right here? China. FXI is down 1%. And where's BABA? BABA was up 7% last week. BABA's above 100. I didn't even know BABA was above 100. There you go. BABA is above 100. PMI on services came in good when it came to the data we had today. Oh, we just got services PMI right now. We just got services PMI for ISM. Okay, what is this number? The global composite PMI was good. ISM services, market wanted 54. We came in at 52.8. Okay, that's kind of a nothing burger. 54 versus 52.8. Okay, cool. So not too bad. Let me pick up Sachin's call right here. So he's calling. We're going to get him onto the show. For those that don't know Sachin, he is a Palantir OG, one of my good friends as well. I know a lot of you guys do know him from the older days on Palantir Weekly. So let me give him a call, and we're going to get him onto the show. Hey, Sachin, can you hear me?
Yes, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing very good. You are live on the Market Open. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join us.
Pleasure, man. Tell me, man, what do you want to know?
I think let's start off. So people haven't heard from you in like a year. So people definitely want to get your thoughts and opinions on a lot of stuff going on. We got a lot of goat emojis in the chat. So we definitely appreciate you, Sachin. I think we'll start off with this. You went all in on Palantir when it was $8. You really, held your money to your conviction. Stock's at 80. Just what are your thoughts on this journey, what it's been like, and our stock's at 100 now. Do you think 100 is justified? Does it make sense that we're here right now?
And whether 100 is justified or not, I think it is market to decide, and market is justifying it. I think there are few things people are missing, and this is what has led a lot of people to miss in general about Palantir. Is a lot of people are just stuck in this valuation lens. And people are saying valuation is high. When it was 25, people said valuation is high. When it was 40, they said high. It is 60 high. But I think the lesson here is, if valuation is high, then why it is getting higher?
Right.
Okay. And that is what people are missing in general, because they say, okay, if I support Palantir today, they say, oh, are you going to buy it here? I'm not going to buy it here. My risk reward is very different from buying it at $8 versus buying it at $100 today. I mean, it's an entirely different thing. Okay, people say, oh, in order to justify its valuation, it has to go to 30. Man, we saw Palantir going from 45 to $6. So can a stock crash 87, 90%? Of course, a stock can crash 87, 90%, but it will not crash entirely under its own gravity. The whole market has to collapse in order to support it. If Palantir goes from 100 to $30, I mean, broad market and peers will also drop 50 to 60 and 80%. Okay, so yeah, so when somebody say that a particular valuation is wrong, okay, you have to put the context right. If a valuation is wrong, that whole market will go up and Palantir will go down, then give us the logic. Okay, what's the logic is going to be? So Palantir is expensive. There is no doubt about it. There is no hiding from the fact. Whichever metric you look at, Palantir is performing better than any peers at this particular point. That is also true. Palantir is strategically positioned better than any other enterprise SaaS in the time of AI. That is also true. How market will judge it, it's up to market. I think the one thing which has pushed Palantir this high is that the institutional ownership in Palantir was very low.
Yeah.
And despite whatever anybody says, they say, oh, institutional money is smart money. Institutional money is not smart money. Institutional money is dumb money. Okay, once the certain criteria are met, all institutions go like headless chicken behind it, and that is what has happened. And everybody wants a piece of Palantir now, and that has created a lot of buying pressure on it. I mean, this is true. Institutional money is dumb money. I'll be honest with that.
Well, why are they? So people say retail is dumb, institutional are smart.
No. I think no. Actually, institutional, because when you talk about institution, you're talking about pension funds. See, first, they cannot buy on their own. They need to buy with a committee. They need to buy when certain analysts put it certain rating. When 25 analysts and 25 fund managers will tell them, hedge fund money is the smart money, actually. Okay, so a lot of time institutions are the last one in the line to buy, especially the one which are not actively trading. Okay, because they want every parameter to be tested, but by the time every parameter is tested, the stock is $80, $90.
Right.
Okay, and again, people who are buying at institution, they are under their fiduciary duty. They are not under the duty of creating return. Their duty is to meet the criteria of investment.
So Sachin, let me ask you this. There are people, I know you've seen this on FinTwit, and I'm sure there's people in the chat that say, all right, Sachin, we get it. You're bullish. We understand you're giving Palantir a premium. However, Palantir's valuation is more than McDonald's, American Express. It's the 50th largest company in the world. I mean, how do you respond to being able to say, I will still hold this stock knowing it is trading at levels that I don't think we've ever seen in this market before?
See, for me, it's very simple. I mean, if you have a position, it's a lot of gain. I mean, you can always hedge somewhat. Okay, you can send covered calls and all. I mean, of course, I'm not going to let all these gains go. Okay, that thing is very... The thing is, the logic which I'm not buying is they are saying because it is expensive, so there is no further gains left. You see, this is the same argument people made when it was 40.
Yep.
If you remember when Chris Camillo, bought at 36, people said you are late to the party.
Yep.
When it was 62, people said it is astronomically high. So the thing is, the logic people are getting, that market is proving that logic wrong. Okay, so let me explain something, and this is what people need to understand is, See, if you go back to 2020 and 2019, Tesla was astronomically high. Okay, everybody was shorting Tesla, like especially on the main street. I mean, all these Spiegel guy and Einhorn and all that. What happened with Tesla? Tesla keep going up. Did Tesla came down? Tesla came down later, but something else happened before that, and that is the sign we need to look. At some point, market got so much in FOMO because of Tesla that they were so desperately looking another Tesla. And at that particular time, companies like Nikola, Neo, Xpeng, Lucid, they came and they actually got valuation which were even crazier than Tesla.
Yeah.
Okay, and that pushed the market to a stratospherical level where everything was irrational. Okay, so there is a point that will come in Palantir journey where people will just say, okay, when I really don't know what is happening, but I need to buy something. And I cannot buy Palantir in good faith, I need to buy something. This will happen. This is human psychology. And then you see all these kind of tier 2, tier 3 stocks that we talk about, Snowflake, UiPath, Datadog. Some of these stocks will eventually getting valuations which are going to be even higher at one point. Okay, and when you will see that market still has not started discounting bad news. If you deliver bad news, market is punishing you. Okay, market is rewarding Palantir in an asymmetric way because they think, okay, whatever they are doing, they're doing it right, and they are well positioned to capture the AI upside from the enterprise. See, every company you talk about, if Microsoft is saying that we are going to invest 80 billion in capex, then somewhere Microsoft knows, like if I invest 80 billion here, then this 80 billion will result in 240, 280 billion in revenue somewhere. So somebody given them 280 billion in revenue as a whole, that means industry as a whole has to produce 5 to 6 trillion. Na?
Yeah.
So that 5 to 6 trillion is not only hyperscalers to money. Na? It's the software suite that is extracting out. So when you start stacking this, I think one thing people forget what Chris Camille said, that Palantir only had like 50 customers when he came in. What will happen if Palantir has 5,000 customers?
Yeah.
Okay. Also see in terms of operating leverage, okay, this is what people are looking in general, that okay, that this company, if stars align, can be really big and it can actually sustain this valuation if the market forces stay favorable. Okay, now let's say that, so following things can happen. That Palantir at some point get a self-check, its performance is actually improving, its revenues are actually improving, it might go sideways, some decline, but eventually the performance catches up. What will be, the ink will be on the faces of beer. Okay, I mean, you remember there was this guy, was the beer cave guy. I mean, Palantir was $15 and he came up with a short report. And I know actually the guy he talked to also, his name is Indiji. He was a disgruntled employee from Palantir. He said something and based on that, he kind of worked out some report. When you are a short seller, $15, you say that short the company, the stock is 105. I mean, you have one job to identify bad performing company and you can't do it well. So see, as an investor, our job is not to justify Palantir or justify any other company. Our job is to understand how market works so that we can make money out of it.
What do you?
Okay.
So Dan Ives said yesterday he sees 1 trillion in 4 years. Is that a bit ridiculous, or do you think that's possible too?
See, what Dan Ives says and why Dan Ives says, okay, so why Dan Ives says is somewhat beyond me. Okay, he comes up with things and the kind of things he says is they're playing games of 3D chess versus checkers. And at the end of the day, this is all BS. Okay, I mean, you can say tons of smart things. You need to explain things. Whether it is 1 trillion is possible. Yes, 1 trillion is possible. The company is already 230 billion. So tomorrow, like we know already what is happening in Doge, Palantir software being used there.
Yeah.
So you need to understand what is happening on ground. When the Democrats, the USA, I mean, all these things are saying that how big the political shift is. You saw that how strongly Shah and his team has lobbied against the existing defense that we need to introduce AI more in defense in general. Do you think? I mean, like these are big things. If Trump decides that they are going to build or they are going to invest 100 billion in AI-driven weapon systems and all that, that means there is 3-4 billion for software. Which software? It's only hyperscalers and Palantir. There is no one else. There is no one else. There is no software on the street about which a CEO comes and says that we used Palantir and it created $1 billion value for us. There is no software.
Yeah, you're right.
I have seen it. I mean, I was there when I was leading data and digital strategy. I have talked to Palantir guys. I've talked to other people. There is no one. So
Sachin, let me ask you this. You've been following CARP as well for a long time. A lot of people have been critiquing. Yesterday, I read some reports that people were critiquing CARP's message to retail investors and him cursing and banging on the table. I mean, what is your interpretation of CARP as a leader over the past couple of years?
I think CARP has been. CARP is CARP, first thing. Okay, I mean, and I think Main Street and the corporate echelon, it's a club. They want everyone to behave like them. If you don't behave like us, you remember how Jim Cramer used to speak about CARP. Now CARP doesn't talk to him, and Jim Cramer keeps saying, "Please talk to me, please talk to me." So first thing is CARP is original. He doesn't care about optics. Okay, he's passionate. He realized that when they were in trenches, there was a retail community. So he doesn't love retail community like, okay, because they're buying their stuff. Let me be very clear on that one. He loves retail community because he realized that retail community has done a very good job in explaining what Palantir is.
I want to double down on this. You're saying he doesn't love retail because he's using them as liquidity because it can pump the stock. He loves retail because they actually studied the business when it was $6 when all the other analysts were studying Snowflake.
Yeah, that's the reality.
It is quite special. It is really quite special to see what they've been able to do. Go ahead.
They were in a position where everybody was going against them. Democrats was against them. Open Society and all these guardians were pumping articles against them. And I mean, so much bad blood. You were talking about analysts. Do you remember what analysts used to say? Oh, I mean, we will prefer Snowflake over it. I mean, why would you prefer Snowflake? Snowflake is a different product. Palantir is a different product. You don't know about the product. I mean, I tell you, there are very smart people I follow, and they literally had no clue. I mean, yesterday I was having this tweet conversation with Brian. I mean, I remember I was watching the video of Brian, and Brian was saying he doesn't want to buy Palantir. He wants to buy some other software which provides a SaaS product to the prison system. I said, man, this is whole different things we are talking. He said, you want defense exposure, you buy this software. I said, no, this is not. That tells me that people fail to understand what the product is. See, as a fan to it, I know that a lot of people are disgruntled about it, that they miss Palantir and they are saying, they keep saying, see, you can say 20 times a day that valuation is astronomical. So what? Okay, in consulting, this is one of the most important questions, that so what? I mean, if it is high, the question is you need to go back and understand why it is high. So it goes from here.
Do you think Palantir? So I see the similarity coming up as well, and this will be the last question on Palantir. Then we'll move on. Do you think Tesla 2021, when it pumped to 400 and then came all the way back to 100, do you think there's a chance Palantir is in that stage where it's just being overhyped to that level, or do you think the street missed the story, and even if it goes back to 60, they're just going to be happy to get back into the story?
Actually, Tesla is not the right analogy for Palantir. I'll give you the right analogy for Palantir. The right analogy for Palantir is the Netscape movement. When Netscape came and they were the first browser, and suddenly the rise of Netscape was, I mean, people who have lived through 94, 96, and people can go back. I mean, it was amazing. I mean, companies like Microsoft and companies like Apple, they didn't see it coming. The only problem in the Netscape was that the barriers of entry was low. At the end of the day, replicating the product was simple. So if you ask me, like, what is the movement that Palantir is having? Palantir is having a Netscape movement, but with a product that has an entry barriers as high as Windows, and that's their strength.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. AMD, you've been bullish on the name for a little bit. Stock's down 10%. Are you holding, buying? What are you thinking about this one?
Okay, so let me break it down in 5 simple sentences. See, the whole bull case of AMD is driven by the fact that there is a chip bull market, which is NVIDIA has actually captured. So there will be eventually other companies. That's a top-down thesis on a bullet point 1 for AMD. And since AMD has done far better in catching up Intel, and there is no company, like when you talk about NVIDIA, it doesn't matter how far AMD is the distant second. So that's the bull case. Also, before the AI chip euphoria started, there was a time between 21 and 22 where more and more data centers were asking AMD instances. So there was a bit of traction up there. So that is part 1. The second part is there is market, there is TAM. Can AMD catch it? And that is where the issues are emerging. Okay. By her own words, Lisa Su said that the data center AI market is 60 billion in 2023. It will have a CAGR of 60%, and it will be 500 billion by 2020. These are her words, not mine. Which means every quarter the market is expanding by 12.5%. Okay. Now, this is market. If you are expanding less than 12.5%, that means you are losing market share. AMD grew 9% quarter on quarter. Okay, where the market, if you see that particular market up in last quarter, I mean, it was nearly 60 to 70%. So first thing is that, okay, are their revenue increasing? You always have to see things in context. Yes, their revenue increased. Yes, their EPS increased. But relative to what? Okay, if you are moving ahead with this space, I'm sorry, I mean, you will not be able to. Yes, your revenue will increase. Okay, yes, your AI revenue is increasing. AI revenue margins are good. You are cannibalizing other parts of business, which is pretty evident at this particular point. But you are trying to capture a valuation based on like NVIDIA-esque kind of a valuation. I'm sorry, that is not going to happen. AMD has already been in this race for nearly 3 years now. Okay. They have not captured it. Okay. They are doing far better compared to Intel. I mean, they are going pretty good on x86 also. They are doing pretty good on the CPU part of data center actually very well. If I'm correct, their data center revenue has exceeded or almost equal to Intel now. Okay. But I mean, the valuation they are asking from market is not Intel kind of valuation. They are asking valuation based on NVIDIA's multiple,
right?
And they are second behind NVIDIA, but they are so distant that it's almost useless.
So are you buying the dip?
No, I'm not buying the dip. I mean, I have the shares which I bought, and my plan is that I'll start selling aggressive covered calls until my stocks are called away. End of story.
So you don't really. I mean, you bought it because you thought there was some potential, but right now you're seeing execution not be stellar.
I bought it because if you go back and you check their last 2 quarters, I mean, you can check it on visual stack or bar chart, whichever you like. The increase and the uptick in the AI revenue, but that uptick is slowed this quarter. Okay, so AMD is not executing as they have said. I mean, they are not executing. So do you remember this? There was this last day. I'm actually really surprised why she was the CEO of the year last year.
Yeah, I was a little confused on that one. It was a bit weird.
Okay. So I think they did. I mean, AMD has done exceptionally well when in their fight with Intel. I mean, I remember like in 2006, I was about to buy this PC and I wanted to cut down some cost, and they said AMD. I said, man, I want a cheap PC, but I will not touch AMD. That was the kind of image AMD had those days. So AMD has done exceptionally well compared to Intel, which has been a horrible company over this time. But what people are asking, people like me are looking for, AMD. That can AMD get some pixie dust from NVIDIA growth? The market is expanding very fast. Okay, if market is asking you more, I mean, market is going 12-13% per quarter, and you are not able to grow. You are growing barely by 9%.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you don't do any marketing, that should happen by its own.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Okay, so see, that's why, like, I look numbers and numbers up, and this is where again, like, there's a disconnect between a number and a strategy. You look number, but you also have to see that story is consistent between the strategy and the numbers. And in an AMD case, it is not anymore. Numbers are good, but they are not in line with the story they are trying to sell on the street, period.
Okay, let's get into a name that I talked to you a month ago about, and you helped me get my conviction on the name, and both of us are pretty excited about this one. Grab. Just in general, what is your bull case on this? Why are you heavily positioned on this one?
So, see, like you were discussing also yesterday, in order to have that kind of company in an ASEAN, you need to be connected with the right family members. You need to be connected with the right people. You just know not anybody can. Okay, they have managed to fought away Uber here, and they are the only company that are omnipresent in all ASEAN country almost. Okay, they're better than a lot of companies in terms of services. They are expanding their product in general. More important, they have managed to cut down their cost a lot while keeping their revenues increasing. And if I am right, because I use their product and I see how much they charge and all that, I think they are going to deliver a big surprise. I pay a lot of money to Grab, and I see that my expenditure on them is increasing. And I ask people in my circle also, like, what's your experience? Do you think their ride hailing is expensive? I'll tell you, like, if I go from my hometown to Twin Tower, I pay 3 times what I used to pay 2 years back on Grab. So if they're charging this much, I mean, and they manage to keep their costs down, which means that in this earning, I'm really looking forward to validate that this earning has to be really blockbuster for them.
Yeah.
And more important, like, see, for example, say, Amit, you want to come in Southeast Asia. You want an established player there. Okay. Yeah. I mean, they have a fintech. They have a banking license in a couple of countries.
Are you excited about the financial services? Is that a bigger bull case for you as well?
It is. I mean, it's a part of everything that people use it. Okay. See, overall, I think at the end of the day, their charges are up. People are still paying those high charges. They manage to cost down. That means their margins and their profit has to increase. Okay, whenever there is a company which turns from negative income to positive income and they give guidance, I'll tell you right now that if they come in this earning and this earning is positive and that they say that by the end of the year we are going to be gap positive, or they can give some kind of aggressive timeline, I'll tell you this stock is going to be $8 to $9 even before this quarter is up.
Wow.
But they have to do that in order to see that.
What do you think about the potential merger news yesterday? Do you think it's fake or real that they would buy out Gojek?
To be honest, I don't know whether it's fake or real. I mean, there is always discussions around it. I know the some of the troubles Gojek is having, and Gojek is in ride hailing, but as much I remember, Gojek is more in 2-wheeler ride hailing. When I travel to Indonesia for my work a few times. I used to travel a lot. Okay. But Gojek, I remember, was more on, so there is a ride hailing, like if I go to Indonesia, I'll be using Grab. If I go to Thailand, I'll be using Grab. If I go to Singapore, I'll be using Grab.
Right.
Okay. So for me, like when I travel, or anybody like in my profession or anybody, their preferred is Grab. because it's easier for us. We come back, we download our bill for a couple of months. We say, okay, all these rights we have done. It was on this case project. So it's all very simple for us.
And I'm assuming you like the 30% cash that it's trading at right now, as well as a buffer.
Man, if company has positive free cash flow, cash in bank, cost is decreasing, what else do you want?
Yeah, I would agree. Okay, last two questions for you, Sachin. Before I ask that, for everyone who is not following Sachin on X, please make sure to follow him here. He has amazing investing insights every single day, and you can get some of those updates right here with the link in the chat. Quickly on SoFi, and then I want to end out with NVIDIA. So SoFi, you went heavy when it was $6. SoFi's at 15. I'm sure you're happy about that. Do you think there's an issue with management not getting people excited about the stock? And do you think it can hit 25-30 by the end of the year?
I think in order to see that, you need to think from a Noto point of view. See, if Noto goes very aggressive, see, the only reason the stock is down from 18 to 15 is, and this is according to SoFi Bulls, don't take my word for it, because they say Noto was not aggressive in the guidance and they're backpacking and sandbagging and all those kind of things. See, now think from a CEO point of view. If a CEO has to deliver a stock growth not for next quarter, but for next 15 quarters.
Right.
So they have to pace it down. Okay. They also have to ensure the growth is backed by numbers. Like, for example, whatever growth we had in last 3-4 months, it was already justified by the numbers before that. So there were a lot of numbers. There were some doubts which got cleared over the time. Then suddenly the stock went from $6 to $18. Okay. From $6 to $18, this is only the second earning we had. Practically, this is the only earning, because last earning was in October and most of the move happened actually after that. Okay. So, and people, if you go on YouTube, people are already calling SoFi to go to 25, 35, 45. Yeah, it will eventually go there, but let's give it some time. Okay, there is a divergence in SoFi performance from some of the peers, so stocks generally tend to pull down. Noto is never going to give an aggressive guidance. We have already seen it. Okay, people say, we have seen that SoFi does better than the guidance, but Noto has not given aggressive guidance. Noto has given aggressive strategic pivot points, but he doesn't give a strategic guidance. This is how it is. He's in a business of managing loan, turning a company into profitable business. He's aggressive in approach, but he is conservative in speaking. We all know that about Noto. Okay, so eventually what will happen? This is how I see SoFi. Okay, I tend to see that SoFi is likely to do better in Q3 and Q4 in numbers. This is where they push more. And eventually most of the gains that SoFi will happen from company point of view, not from market point of view. Okay. If market starts moving, stocks also move. So I'm just trying to see the company vector here. To me, will happen in Q3, Q4. This is the same thing. See, if you go last year, the Q1 earning was very good. The Q4 2023 earning was very good.
Yeah.
But stock didn't go anywhere. Actually, stock came back. When the earning came for Q2, it was also very good. The stock still didn't go anywhere. So but the moment stock goes into this kind of validation phase, okay, and this is what, in my view, is likely to happen, and I could be wrong, because the stock, I say today it's not going anywhere, and then suddenly it goes to 20. But my view is that we are going to stay in this range of 13 to 20 until July, August. And if it stays in that range, I think then it will set up. When you have like 2 or 3 aggressive earning margin improvement guidance, then it will again set up for a short like whatever happened in 3-4 months. That's my view. Okay, but this also has to happen in sync with market, which means that market has to be in the same tone also. If market goes negative, see, these kind of companies like Palantir and SoFi, they have made a lot of divergent gains, which means that if market for some reason goes into a fiscal tightening situation or negative sentiment or in some sort of recessionary fear, these stocks have a larger exposure, because currently they have been priced like there is nothing wrong can happen with these companies.
Right.
Okay, so just for timing, I'm actually very happy with SoFi position. stock performance, 15 is not bad.
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay, the stock was $6 in August 5. Actually, in pre-market, it was $5.73.
The fact that you have that exact price in your head means you've been in this name pretty heavy, it seems.
I'll tell you exactly. I was telling this to my wife. I showed this to my wife, this image, and she asked me like all the analysis and everything. I said, this image, what I'm having, I spent over 500 days. Okay, every day I was spending 3 to 4 hours validating all the things I'm looking in, all the YouTubers I follow, all the analysis, everything. I said I spent over 8,000 hours. I said that's so. I mean, did I make a 7-figure on that? But I said people don't realize that in order to have that 7-figure thing, I mean, I spent crazy amount of time, and I know that people cannot spend that kind of crazy amount of time on companies the way I do it, and whatever orthodox and unorthodox technique I have, reaching people, asking my network, looking different product. I said, this is why I have conviction, and this is why I take large position. This is exactly what I did with Palantir. I knew I can spend 4 hours looking or 6 hours looking at every day. And yeah, I mean, then I stuck with the positions, and eventually, yes, I mean, the gain happened in 3 months, but that 3 months had almost 15 months of work behind it.
So when you were spending those 8,000 hours, did your wife think you were going crazy, or like what was going on during that time?
I mean, she supported me. I always try to explain her the logic and everything. Actually, see, my wife always supports me in whatever investing I go in. Okay, because she has seen my lows and she has seen my highs. So, I mean, I think that part I'm actually very lucky.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't have to think about that if I lose a large chunk of money, how my personal life will be. That part I'm not worried.
Right. Okay, that's awesome. Last question for you, Sachin. Again, thank you for taking time out of your day all across the world for staying up and doing this with us. NVIDIA down 20% because of DeepSeek. The questions here are, is this an existential threat to the AI trade? And number 2, would you be buying NVIDIA here?
It is not an existential threat for AI trade, but people need to understand what will happen. See the promise, so when you see XAI was formed, okay, you see what Elon did. Elon went very aggressive, bought a lot of H100. I mean, he put this team together, all the coolant, a gas power plant, and get it running. So it gave everybody an idea that if you want to catch up Perplexity, you need a Elon kind of approach, which nobody can do. Almost it was unheard of. That means a lot of people like you or me, say if we decide we want to do an answer to Perplexity, we said it's not possible. So a lot of people in Silicon Valley, they don't have that kind of cash, they don't have that kind of resources, so they got the message, don't dream like that. But when DeepSeek happened, okay, then people say, why God, they managed to do it without this? They managed to do it, okay, they might have used more money and all that, but they managed to do it.
Yeah.
So that gave a message to a lot of people in Silicon Valley, even VCs, that, yeah, you are behind OpenAI in Perplexity, but if you like, you can actually do things. So it will be more like, so it will create more seats in Silicon Valley than China. There will be more people in Silicon Valley who will think that why don't we work out our own LLM? Okay. Which initially they were not thinking before the DeepSeek movement. So DeepSeek is a fork in time, but more for Silicon Valley than actually. See, the fact is, world is never going to trust an LLM coming from China, at least the Western world, or countries which are adversarial in terms of to China, at least in terms of political hegemony in general. There are a lot of people will go and use. I mean, I live in Malaysia. There are people who use Alibaba Cloud.
Right.
Okay, it's cost effective, it's smart, so they don't care about, a lot of other things which you will worry about in a Western country. So, yes, the market is huge, but the message is not this clear that world will use Chinese AI or not. The message is you can do a very high quality LLM with a very unique approach with almost negligible resources than what Elon has done.
Would you?
And that is a message that people have to take in.
Would you buy Nvidia at 122?
I will not buy Nvidia at 122 because, see, like I said, that I do not have a perfect method of investing. I mean, you look strategy, you look technicals, you look fundamentals. Okay, and in technicals, there's something called a stage analysis. Stage analysis is what you call like stock at a stage 1, a stage 2, stage 3, or stage 4. So Nvidia has a very classic look of a stage 3 stock. That is, it is going to consolidate in this range, ideally for a while.
Right.
Okay, whether it's going to break down, whether it's going to break up, actually, I have no clue. So when you look from risk reward point of view, this is one of the reasons I was investing in AMD, because I said that at the end of the day, people still need a lot of chips, and cheap chips will have a market. But AMD has fucked it up in a very grandiose way, to be honest.
Yeah, no, and it tends to happen. Sometimes you think there's a breakout to the upside, but there tends to be a breakout to the downside. Sachin, thank you so much for joining. We have some people in the chat just asking, what are your top positions right now? If you could tell us in your portfolio, and then we'll be done for today.
I mean, the positions we discussed, apart from that, I mean, I'm in and out of GitLab for a while. I buy sometimes. I mean, AMD is definitely there. I actually have created quite a significant position in this company called UiPath. It's a very risky position for me, but I mean, like, my investing intuition is saying that, I think there is something going to happen in this company. I mean, I listened to their CEO for over 40 hours in last 15 days. Everything he has said over the time, what he's trying to achieve, how he's trying to achieve, his logic. Actually, his logic for AI agent is far sharper than Mark Benioff. Actually, Mark Benioff is all over the place. He has to me, look like Mark Benioff got more scared and realized they need to do it, and he is speaking ahead than what they are doing. But this guy like Daniel Dines, when I listen him on agentic AI, and he has made it very clear. I always like this kind of CEO who can take tough decisions. He said, okay, we were an RPA company. There will be a time for foreseeable future, then there will be going to be an RPA revenue. But guys, RPA is not our future. Our future is agentic AI. He made it very clear. People who know what not to do are the kind of CEOs I like.
Right.
So I have built up quite a sizable position in this company over the time. And during this time, like I wrote this article, like the comeback kit. So this is one of the comeback kits I'm looking. And my favorite way of making my position in these companies is following. So generally what I do is I use half of my money to buy stocks. I use half of my money to buy way out of money leaps. Okay. Then ideally I would like stocks to make a move. And when the stocks make move, like for example, if this stock goes to 20 and all that, at that point I will liquidate my stock position, because by that time the capital of stock and Leaps has already paid it. So the trade becomes free for me. Okay. And so that's pretty much, I have also built up sleep position in the Snowflake as well. Okay. Because like I said, I mean, like I also, like I was saying, why Palantir would crash? Before Palantir has to crash, the other tier 2, tier 3 companies has to get near to Palantir's multiples. So who are these two tier 2, tier 3 companies as per market? So these companies also, like, technically Snowflake is building up. I mean, it has to go to 190 or 95 level, because then it will be above its 200 weekly moving average, and it will be above its 50 monthly average also. Technically, that's a very strong sign. Okay, the moment the stock goes in that kind of, and if the earning comes good, I mean, we are looking 240 to 60 before April.
Are you taking some profits on Palantir here?
Yes, I'll be taking quite a sizable profits.
Okay. And then final question for you, because I got to ask this. Tesla, just generally, any thoughts on that name?
Tesla is a real strangle position, because it can, depending on what happens in Trump administration, I mean, Tesla can be very successful, and Tesla can have a very strong fallback also. I mean, it has gotten. I'm not very concerned about the people or Democrats going against Tesla. I mean, like when Tesla was EV company, Republicans used to be against Tesla.
Yeah.
Tesla still survived. So that is, and at the end of the day, a lot of people vote from their pocket. They say it's a good car, it makes sense. And I mean, and to be honest, other EVs have done pretty badly. Okay, the only other good EVs in market actually are Chinese EV, which are not allowed to be sold. China has some really good EV, I can tell you, man. I see them on Malaysian roads, and I'm like, man, Europeans are going to be fucked in a grand way. I mean, Chinese are coming up with some really good cars. So, yeah, I mean, Tesla. So that is the thing. Like now, again, Tesla is. So Tesla in AI, Tesla is a very unique position because on one hand, he has said that the Cybertaxi is coming. Tesla has a very good vision AI product. Okay. Now, if you are looking from Elon Musk's point of view, Elon Musk has to. So he has an XAI, which is an AI product, which is kind of linked with Twitter also. So it is putting Twitter valuation also. Okay. Now, if for some reason, if you can link the XAI with Tesla also. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you are looking for kind of like an ecosystem approach coming up one way or other way. I'll not be surprised that if that's the direction he wants to take in terms of software delivery moving forward. But it's a huge position, and then of course you have all the Optimus thing that I mean that's a wild option if it comes true. And again, these people are missing on this point is like same thing going from ML neural net to Gen AI. So going from robotic arms to general purpose robot, it's a huge step.
Yeah, massive.
It's not that simple. So and there is enough appetite, and as long as the smart people and the smart money is chasing it, there will be something coming out of it. So if you are looking at a company doing that kind of productivity, also, I mean, like think from strategic point of view. US wants to bring manufacturing back. Manufacturing in US is expensive. People, I only work 8 hours. You cannot force people to work like 9 to 9 or 6 in the morning till 9 in the night, 7 days a week, as we call about the slave labors in a lot of countries. I will not take the name. You can do that in US? You cannot do it, but robots can do it.
Yeah, robots aren't going to care.
People, I mean, see, a lot of people in investment banking, a lot of people do is a repetitive kind of work. And when you talk about repetitive kind of work, I mean, having an agentic AI or having a kind of a robotic presence, somebody can do it 24/7. And more important, like if a person is replaced, there is no handover. I mean, and you want to increase the person. And if it's general purpose, you can send it for other people also. Okay, it's not like a car factory robotic arms that it is designed to do only one thing. If this happens, yeah, I mean, and the job loss that comes with that is also going to be huge. Okay, right. So in order to have Trump or the Republican agenda, not the mainstream Republican, but whatever the Republican Party as of today is, the robotics and the AI has to succeed. If robotics and AI doesn't succeed, their agenda doesn't succeed, and they know it very well. How can you bring manufacturing back in US? There are no people. There is no expertise left. Okay, I mean, you saw what happened with the California highway. I mean, like fast. I mean, they cannot build a fast bullet train in California. It's a land of Silicon Valley. There is no expertise for major capital projects. That's the reality. So you need. So it's a bit wild option. So I mean, to me, like Tesla is quite a wild. And I'm not going because I have a lot of exposure to SpaceX. And last year I actually
you're up like 5-6x on that, right? That one's done great for you.
Almost 10x. So I mean, like,
wow.
But last year was pretty bad for me in a way because I lost a lot of money. The company I was using, PE company, they went bankrupt. There was a lot of some embezzlement and all that. There was a bankruptcy case. Luckily, the Klarna and SpaceX position was in a well-protected SPV.
You lived the whole movie last year. Embezzlement, bankruptcies.
They were managed to able to move to another investment. There were a lot of positions I had which were under the nominee position. They all went under wire. I mean, like lost tons of money on that part. I mean, serious amount of money. So, but yeah, I mean, it happened. It's a lesson for me that luckily by the half of couple of friends, I mean, the kind of contracts I signed for SpaceX and Klarna was better protected. So I still have those positions, but I lost a lot of positions.
Right.
Okay. And but luckily, I mean, then Palantir happened and SoFi happened. It is what it is, man.
Sachin, thank you so much. His Twitter is in the description. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your night to talk with us. And I'll talk to you later. Thank you, Sachin.
Thanks, man. Keep up the good work, man. I'll see you.
See you. Appreciate it. Bye.
See you. Bye.
All right, there we go. Got a lot of good thoughts on SoFi, Palantir, AMD. As you can see, Sachin thinks Grab could get like $8 this year. I feel like I'm a bit more conservative saying $10 by 2027, but he tends to have pretty high conviction when he goes in on a name. I mean, as you can see what he said, he spent 10,000 hours studying SoFi. And then in the last 3 months of those 10,000 hours that he spent, you get the move from 6 to 15. So sometimes it just takes a lot of time, a lot of conviction, and a lot of belief and trust in your strategy. But it ends up working out. Got a 7-figure profit just from that. NVIDIA's at 122.5. I have 15 shares left to complete the NVIDIA position. Should I just buy them now? What do you guys think? Should we just get it over with? We can kind of use the Snapchat money to fund the purchase. 15 shares left, and then I've got 5 hundo NVIDIA. Dude, the covered call premiums on NVIDIA too are wild. I want to sell covered calls on it so badly. Also, Hoodie freaking killing it today. 53.50. Resistance on the 54 on Hood is 5,000 shares. So it's nothing. If we can get the volume, we are blasting through 54. But we got to see if we get there. Here's my thing about covered calls on NVIDIA, dude. I don't know how emotionally attached I am to NVIDIA. Like, if I sell a covered call at 135 and it gets called away and my average is 125, I feel like when it gets to 135, I'll care. But, like, I don't know how much I'm going to care, bro. Like, I don't know. I don't, because it is what it, but like these premiums are insane. Like, it's just insane. I just feel like this dip is so stupid that after earnings, it's inevitably going to come back and we're going to be laughing at this. But the covered call premiums are still amazing. Do it. All right. We're buying the final 15. Final 15 is done. We are finished with NVIDIA until I decide to buy more. Average is 125.09. That's the average. We are down 2.25% on the position. The average was 139 2 weeks ago. So we got the average down by $14. 60 grand inside of NVIDIA. And hopefully Jensen doesn't mess up like Lisa Su. Hopefully not. What are your guys' average on NVIDIA? Some of you guys have been here for a while. I know some of you guys have to be in like the 80s or 90s on NVIDIA. So let me know what your guys' average are in the chat. But I know we got some NVIDIA OGs. Dude, if NVIDIA drops right after that buy, I'm going to be so mad. If it starts going to 118, honestly, I'm probably going to buy another 5 shares at 118 just for the hell of it. I'm like, can't just drop after I buy it. We're going to have to DCA into that. SoFi right here at 1546. SMCI, also great day. Looks like the Blackwell news is pretty bullish for SMCI. This one's up about almost 9%. At one point, it was up 11%. HIMS, what can you say? Congratulations to HIMS shareholders. Incredible. Robin at 53.40. And then Palantir. Palantir has a deal with 100, and that deal is to stay at 100, at least for now. So Palantir holding 100 very nicely. I got 109, 38, 120, 115, 76, 28, 49. Wow. Got a lot of OGs here. We got 75. We got 35. We have 116, 120. Thoughts on Reddit? I rolled my covered call on Reddit to 300 for January 2027. The logic here is I got paid a really good premium, and by January 2027, if Reddit's 300, my average is 150 or 164. I get a double in 2 years. I'm more than fine with that. If it tanks, I can buy back that covered call, write a new covered call on the first thing. And then on the second thing, if it tanks, I'll buy more Reddit. because the covered call premiums alone, to me, are nice to have it as a swing trade in the portfolio, just based on the premiums. But in terms of like what's going on with the stock, I have no idea why it's trading here. Like, at least Palantir, I can give you somewhat of an explanation. I have no idea why Reddit is trading at a 33 times price of sales and at a $37 billion market cap. I can't explain it. I can try maybe with the AI data modes. They're going to be used for LLMs, yada, yada. But I don't know, dude. But I kind of feel like it's not going to go back down to the 150s. I kind of feel like whoever's pumping it, they're going to get net income positive again, have good 60% growth on revenue again. And people are just going to say, all right, we're buying Reddit. Or this is a classic 2021 type of stock, which just trades at a ridiculous multiple and doesn't make sense. But I kind of think there might be more truth to why people are buying it than not. So Reddit right here continues to do amazing at the 215 level. Big Bear AI, yeah, shout out to those that are in this one. The DoD contract today, 30%. I think we are seeing a gamma squeeze on this one. 21% sold short on Big Bear AI. And I think the shorts are covering. I think the shorts are covering here. So if you're in this one, congrats. Chasing it here is a little scary now that it's up 30% already. But if you think the short squeeze is going to continue, maybe there's some juice left. I personally will not be chasing this one. But a DoD contract is big, and short float on a DoD contract for a small cap, a $1.6 billion company, tends to result in a squeeze. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. Oklo's above 50. Wow, dude. Goodness gracious. All those stocks, look at that. Oklo up another 8%. All those stocks that got hit after NVIDIA got hit have recovered fantastically, except NVIDIA. I mean, NVIDIA's up from 116, but still, the VST, VRTs, Arista Labs, Oklos, they've recovered very nicely. I mean, those were great dips if anyone took advantage of them as well. Shout out to Sachin again for joining. He's in the chat right now answering some of your questions. Again, for those that missed his Twitter, I'm putting it right here. If you want to give him a follow and get a little bit more of his thoughts, his Twitter is right here in the description. DoD is Department of Defense. DoD is Department of Defense. I don't have the exact one. I'll look into trying to find exactly what they got, but it is some contract. Does anyone know the amount? How much did they get? How much did they get paid for this? Oh, there's no amount. It's a contract to prototype a geopolitical risk analysis. I don't think there's any amount on this, but it's enough to get the street to buy it up. Where's AMD? AMD is still down 9%. Palantir still holding 100, dude. 32 million shares of volume. No one is letting this thing fall below 100. It is just phenomenal. It's so cool, bro. It's actually so cool. Like we got to 100 and it stayed there. And it's like, it hasn't even flinched. Like maybe in the morning, it flinched like 99.7 for a second. And there were so many buyers at $99.75 that it just gapped right back up to 101. I mean, it is just incredible, exceptional. What other adjective can you come up with for the fact that it's holding this level? That means the pump was real. It wasn't a fake pump. No matter how many people say, "Oh, retail pumped it," it's like, dude, I think retail would have sold by now. Like I think it was a pump where a lot of big money just came in, and they're continuing to come in, and they're giving Palantir a $230 billion valuation. It's also psychological. We broke above the psychological 100 as well. That's correct. That is correct. Bsoft said, I sold a 150 covered call on NVIDIA, 228 post earnings after you just talked about the earnings premium, 150. That's not bad, bro. So 150 minus 122, this would be a 23% gain. So NVIDIA would have to put up 23% on earnings for you to get called away. Is that likely? I don't know, bro. Last time NVIDIA hit 150, it stayed there for like 20 minutes and then it went away. 150 is also a big psychological level for NVIDIA. I feel like that's a relatively safe call. 150. I think that's relatively safe. I don't think that could be in that much jeopardy. Let me see how much the open interest is on that one, because when NVIDIA was 140, the open interest was crazy on the 150s. February 28th, 150 call, 21,000. Yeah, I think this is a lot lower than what it was before, but 21,000. The rest of them have about 4,000 or 5,000 open. For 130s, yeah, you have about 4,000 or 5,000. Well, 130 is 26,000. So 130 is the highest open interest in terms of calls that are open. right after earnings. ARM's up 3.5%. They've got earnings today as well, so that's going to be important, along with Qualcomm. ARM right here up 3.3%. And we're going to see what they can do. I'm in the same boat. I'm not in love with NVIDIA, and I'm fine with it being called away at 150. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's very fair. Chamu said, I sold my covered calls on NVIDIA for 228 at 150. All right, everyone's picking 150. Yeah, it'll be a hell of a move if they can get there. Be a very, very big move if it gets there. Amit, what are your conviction plays right now besides Palantir and Hood? Honestly, it's Grab. Like, allocated a good chunk of capital, 80 grand to it. And I think it's a bit asymmetric here. I think it'll take time, though. It's not going to be a mover that happens overnight. But, dude, even the fact that they're thinking of acquiring their biggest competitor for $7 billion, let's say the rumor is fake, but, I would imagine there's a little bit of juice to it given the media outlets that reported it, even if it's not going to happen. The fact that Grab is thinking of themselves as like a company that can acquire their biggest competitor just goes to show me how highly they think of themselves and how long they think their runway is in terms of becoming a monopoly in Southeast Asia. I mean, they're thinking of themselves as like the company that everyone has to mess with. And instead of competing, they're like, why don't we just get rid of these guys? Like, screw them. Let's just gobble them up. It's okay. Like, well, we're going to be the biggest company anyway. We might as well just take them out right now. So I think management definitely has a vision to be that type of company, but it might take some time. Hoodie, 53.50. I bought some shares at 52.60 today. So we're up already on those shares. Again, Jason's theory of $50 support, I think it's a very real theory. I mean, we've barely seen Hood below 50. We saw Hood below 50 on DeepSeek for like a day. And then we saw Hood below 50 on the tariffs for a day that weren't actually real tariffs. Other than that, it has continuously found progress and support back above 50. SoftBank definitely has a say in Grab for Gojek. That is 100% correct. SoftBank owns 10% of Grab, so 410 million shares. I don't know how much they own of Gojek, but I would imagine it's up there in the double digits. And I'm sure Masa wants to like create a behemoth versus creating two separate companies that are competing against each other. I mean, literally, Grab and Gojek are just like fighting at each other's incentives and margins, and the consumer's winning, but they're not actually benefiting from the amazing technology they've created and the network effects that they've built. And SoftBank is losing as well because they're a major investor. So if you just combine both together over the long term, that company would probably be much more powerful and SoftBank would get a way better return. So I do think big money is probably thinking of that one as well. Check FMC. FMC is, wow, why is FMC down 33%? What does FMC do? Does anyone know this name? FMC. FMC stock, $4 billion company. They are a chemical manufacturing company in Philadelphia. They're down 33%. They beat on earnings and they're down 33%. Wow. There's got to be something going on there. You bought AMD over Rocket Lab? You're dead to me. Well, I didn't buy AMD over Rocket Lab, but I still have my Rocket Lab. I'm still waiting on when there's a good opportunity to buy the lab of rockets. 28.91 is my average, folks. I thought I was buying this and we were going to go all the way back to 23, but Rocket Lab has not given me an opportunity to DCA. Not at all. I mean, it's been holding, dude. It's been holding 28 so nicely. It's kind of incredible, dude. Especially off really relatively little catalysts. You had some deals here and there, but it's not like any big numbers that moved it. So earnings are going to be really important. I think earnings is not going to be flat for Rocket Lab. It's going to be all the way up or all the way down. Either they live up to expectations and the street gets really excited, or they think that it's a bit too pricey at these levels. Meta just went red. FMC, again, 30% down. I'll try to find out what happened, but that one's getting hit. Meta just went red, 716 to 702. I am not in next decade. I know about the thesis on that. I know Chris and Steve love that one. That's also a long-term hold. That's like you believe in LNG and what Trump's doing with drilling. And so you kind of just buy that and wake up in 10 years. But I'm not in that name. There's also not a good options market on that one. So you can't wheel it. You can't buy calls on it. It's kind of just stock. Oklo's former executive Chris Wright is the new Secretary of Energy under Trump, and the stock has pumped insanely since the election. Insiders know something is coming with Oklo. Yeah, I mean, look, I've heard of that theory before on this name. Also, Sam Altman is the chair of the company, And obviously, OpenAI is going to need a ton of energy for their data centers. And you imagine Sam Altman calls up Oklo as one of the first clients to get some of that demand. So there is a thesis. There is no earnings, but there is a thesis. And as long as there's a thesis, that can get the street a lot more excited about it. Although I do think Oklo is getting some retail coming in more than the street. I don't know their institutional holdings. Let me see if I can find out. But this name is heavily retail. And retail, again, just coming earlier to the party before institutions, if the institutions are ever going to come to the party. What is Oklo's free float? 136 million. Okay. I think their short float is also like 10% as well. Walmart is a great stock when you actually look at the numbers. Walmart is a fantastic stock. Walmart was up almost 100% last year. Is it at all-time highs right now? 101. Walmart. Yeah, Walmart's at all-time highs, dude. Holy crap. Look at that. All-time highs. June says she's up 600% on Oklo. Well, there you go. Rocket Lab just got 29. NVIDIA getting a little bit of a pump. There we go. 123. Let's get to 125 and close above that. That would be fun. NVIDIA 123.20. Maybe we're done with below 120s on NVIDIA. Maybe. Wow, Hood, 53.79. Again, guys, there's no resistance for 54. There is no resistance, so it could get there. It could get there. It could absolutely get there. Dodge, thank you for the $2 super chat. Who's having the most volatile earnings tonight? Also, love you as well. Thank you for being part of the show. Most volatile earnings tonight, I think, is going to be ARM. I mean, to be honest, it should be MicroStrategy, but I think unless Bitcoin has a crazy move, MicroStrategy is going to be nothing burger. ARM, I think, is going to be crazy because this thing was up 20% last week. Then it came back down. Then you had different reports coming out in terms of ARM's chips versus NVIDIA with DeepSeek. So I think ARM and Qualcomm are going to be important, but ARM could be the most volatile. We also have Symbiotic, SYM. That's the robot company, if I'm not wrong. They had a deal with Walmart, actually, a couple of weeks ago to take over the robotics part of the business. They're up 1.32%. So they'll probably talk more about that deal. And those will be the main earnings for today. Robinhood, 53.75. NVIDIA, 123.30, up almost 4%. Walmart, 101. Palantir, kind of just chilling. Literally just chilling right there at 101. Someone just texted me on Twitter, one of my friends. He was like, yo, is there any hood news? Why is this thing moving? I don't know. I don't think, I didn't even get to talk about it yesterday because of the Google earnings. But the CFTC, I don't even know what the CFTC does. It's another acronym for some agency that thinks that they can control the world or something. They forced Robinhood to get rid of their sports betting Super Bowl contracts. So the fact that Hood is up after they had to get rid of their Super Bowl contracts is kind of wild. It means that people don't care. They're just coming in to the stock. But yeah, that happened yesterday. Kind of a nothing burger, but nonetheless, that was a piece of news that happened last night. Look who's calling into the show. Steve, good morning. You're live on the Market Open.
You really bought this morning, didn't you?
Bought what this morning?
You really bought more shares, didn't you?
Of what?
What do you mean of what? There's only one thing that we're talking about.
I bought more
you know
Hood.
Exactly what we're talking about.
I bought more Hood. I bought more NVIDIA. I did not buy more Palantir, although I bought it yesterday. I did buy Palantir.
You bought, so that what I just saw is from yesterday?
Yeah. Oh, the 10 shares from 100? Yeah, that's from yesterday.
You're a good role model to society.
Hold on. Did you read my caption? Were you emotionally touched by my caption?
No, I just saw the image.
Okay, let me read you the caption. Let me read everyone else the caption because I think it's worth reading the caption. I said, for the culture, this company has changed my life. This buy was more so an acknowledgement of how far we have come as a community and how far we have to go, all driven by leadership that actually believes ... in doing it their way. Congrats to everyone and thank you, Palantir.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
It's it's supposed to get you to cry. It's supposed to, really take out the emotions here. So
yeah, I promise that's not going to happen.
Palantir's holding 100, Steve. We are holding 100.
Yeah, not for long. But okay, cool.
Bro, we are like, this is, even if we go back to 95, whatever. Like, come on, bro. This is amazing. Like,
is it though?
It's amazing because even with the acknowledgement of the valuation, the market doesn't give a flying fuck. You know why? Because Palantir is
Powerful as fuck.
You might have not heard that, but the chat heard that. But it was the powerful as fuck.
No, I didn't hear
Okay,
it. You stopped. You stopped speaking after me.
No, the chat
What
heard it.
is
But
it?
Hold on. Let me do it again. Okay, because Palantir is
Powerful as fuck.
okay. Now you heard it. So
You know what?
I mean,
That's
come
the
on,
second-
bro. We're holding
That's the
100.
second- That's the second time you've done that tonight.
Oh, I've done it like 5 times this morning already. But
Did you see the text I put out in the group chat?
in the WhatsApp group chat.
I swear to God, you don't check this thing. We're all on there. You're the only one that doesn't participate.
Steve, I cannot tell you how many messages I have. It's kind of insane, dude. Like it's.
I am aware. So,
let me put this
I was
picture
gonna
up.
read
I
you
see,
something.
I see it.
you don't have to put anything up. Palantir made a net profit of $77 million last quarter. $55 million of that net profit was from interest. They made $22 million from their operations. I mean,
Okay, what's your point?
I'm just saying, this company, like,
What's your point? You sent this image that you want me to look at. What's your point, bro? What's your
everybody's
point?
going crazy over this, yet the majority of their profit is from interest.
Citibank upgraded us today to 110 from 40.
Of course they did. Anybody who doesn't upgrade, even Jeffries, who had a $28 price target and still has an underperform rating, upgraded to 60.
Dude, yeah, like the fact that Jeffries went from 28 to 6, they don't think it's worth 60. They barely think it's worth 28. So the fact that so it is kind of insane the level of chasing that the analysts are doing as well.
Oh, the level of chasing is crazy. And I listened to the whole interview with the Jeffries analyst who said that their institutional investors are not buying. This is fueled by insiders and retail. I listened to the whole thing. I don't think they're crazy with a $60 price point. I don't think this ever goes back to 35 or 40. I just think it is not going to stay at 100. I think you're going to see a gradual sell. But I don't think you're going to see, it's going to be hard for this to get under 70. Really hard. There's too much momentum.
Dude, the dip is at 85 now. How insane is that?
Yeah, I think that that's going to be accurate. And it's still, the valuation's crazy. Everything else is amazing.
Yeah, no one disagrees, dude. No one disagrees. But like the street's okay with it being crazy, which is
the street's okay with a lot of things until it isn't. Just remember that.
That's fair. That is fair.
The street's okay with a lot of things until it isn't.
So you're not going to buy 10 shares with me to commemorate how far we've come with Palantir?
No. I bought a physical share and I have it hanging up in my office with a quote from Dr. Karp. I don't need to buy 10 shares to commemorate anything.
Okay, I'm just all right. Well, no, you're right. You're right. You do. I need to get one of those physical shares soon.
I was the original person that did that. So
yeah.
By the way, SMCI, you see them this morning?
Yeah, there's some news that they're working with Blackwell heavily.
Ooh, somebody may not be wrong.
Dude, as long as they prove they're not a scam, I think this gap's up.
Listen, we find out next week. This is either going to 20, like 15 or 20, or 45 or 50. This is going to have a violent swing one way or another. And I don't know which way it's going to go, but I'm gambling on it.
We're gonna have to clip that sound you just made and put it on the soundboard because that was good. That was a good sound. That was a good one. Okay, so what's your percentage chance on SMCI going to 50 versus 20?
It's a coin flip. I don't know. It's 50-50. It's a coin flip. Who knows?
I think it's like 70-30. I think SMCI 70% chance does better than worse, in my opinion.
It's a coin flip. All I know is I need one more company to report, and that comes tomorrow with Amazon. And as long as they don't screw up this whole CapEx narrative, NVIDIA and SMCI are gold.
Hold on. Can we talk about Google? Why is this stock that you've been saying is the best company in the world
Because
down
people
8%?
I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be nice. Because people don't read through the financials and people don't read through the data. And it goes back to what I said about PayPal this morning in my article.
Oh, you have a new article about PayPal?
I tweeted it to you this morning.
Oh, let me pull it up.
You don't check anything.
Well, I was kind of live streaming, Steve. I'm sorry. I didn't see it.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you, but it's the same thing with PayPal. Everybody hated PayPal. PayPal went down like 8 or 10% yesterday for no reason. You know, I got one of our friends texting me this morning saying, I can't believe that you're bullish on PayPal. And I'm like,
Hold on. Was it Tanner?
not going to say who it was. I'm not going to out them.
Because Tanner publicly said he sold his PayPal yesterday, all of it.
All I'm going to say is the person who texted me, okay, who may or may not be a U.S. citizen, the person who texted me, and that's multiple people that we talked to, so I'm not calling anybody out. This person said that they don't believe in it anymore. And I said, you wouldn't. And I'm actually going to pull it up and read you exactly what was said. Because it's actually pretty funny, because I think I'm hilarious.
So you're buying PayPal.
No. I'm not buying. I'm not a shareholder. I'm saying the street's wrong. So he said, so first, I've been telling this person that, using jiu-jitsu in a street fight would never work, et cetera, et cetera. I sent him a video of some ridiculous thing, and then he texted me that he mastered the tacky tap, and I said, you would. And then he said, why are you so bullish on PayPal? I was really disappointed in 2025 guidance. And I just texted him back, you would be. And then I said, 6 to 7 billion free cash flow, 6 billion buybacks, EPS going from $3.99 to at least $4.80, top line growth, very bullish. I mean, people don't read the numbers. People don't actually do the research.
Yeah, but Steve, they're not growing in 2025.
They grow every year, the top line. They've never not grown.
Steve, I know you're used to the 1.64% Apple growth, but PayPal's guidance for 4.7% isn't that much exciting. It's not that much better.
Is that growth or not?
It is growth. It's just not.
Is it growth or not?
No, it is growth. You're right, technically.
Okay. So they are projecting 6 to 7 billion in free cash flow, and the company's got an 80 billion market cap.
No.
This is a value play.
No, I don't disagree with you. I actually like PayPal here. I'm just saying.
And they authorized 15 billion in buybacks, which is roughly 20% of the market cap over the next 2 or 3 years. They're doing 6 billion in buybacks this year.
You love these buybacks.
It's
you
the
really
most
do.
efficient way to return capital to shareholders.
Apple has conditioned you to think buybacks are everything.
No, I don't. As a shareholder, I don't like being diluted. I like my shares representing more of the company and more of the EPS and revenue. I don't like dilution.
Well, you know a company that's had some dilution over the past couple of years? Palantir.
Tesla and Palantir, yes.
And those stocks have been a little bit better than PayPal and Apple.
I'm well aware.
Because they grow. This is my point. You're saying the street doesn't get it, and that's why it's down 12%. But maybe it's down 12% because they're not going to grow.
They're down 12% because people have lost their minds. People don't care about profitability. People don't care about running a business. People care about the new shiny toy and barely making a profit, which is fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. But at some point, numbers end up mattering. May not be today, may not be in a year, but at some point, numbers end up mattering. And right now, you are paying around 80 billion market cap for a company that is generating 6 to 7 billion in free cash flow, and has, I believe, I gotta look, I shouldn't say it, but close to the amount of debt, if not more, than their amount of debt on the balance sheet in cash.
I think the reason you're mad about this is because Palantir trades at 230 billion and they barely have 1.5 billion in free cash flow, and PayPal has 7 billion in free cash flow, buying back 20 billion of stock, and they trade at 80 billion.
Well, I wasn't going to say that, but it is kind of ridiculous because you pay for profitability, and Palantir has to grow so much to generate the same amount as PayPal. And I'm not saying that one thing is right and one thing is wrong. All I'm saying is that if people are going to give Palantir that valuation to potentially generate that much in profitability, companies that are generating this level of profitability should not be under 100 billion market cap. It is crazy.
Well, if they're not going to grow,
one of two things is going to happen. They're going to take the company private, or somebody's going to acquire them. And I cannot believe Visa or MasterCard or American Express hasn't acquired PayPal yet. I can't believe it. It would be the best acquisition for one of these companies.
What if PayPal just gives a dividend?
I don't even know if that's worth it at this point. They should take the company private and stop dealing with Wall Street because they're never going to get the valuation.
Yeah, and they're not going to impress Wall Street when you got other fintechs that are shiny.
I mean, this is a company that at this rate, okay, at this rate of buybacks is going to buy back the entire company in 12 years. Every last share on the open market, they will buy back in 12 years at this rate. Think about that.
Steve, we got
to
to
$5 billion in buybacks last year. They're going to do $6 billion this year.
No, it's fair. It's a fair point. I get your argument. It's just a question of narrative right now.
Yeah, and at some point, what happens? What happens in 5 years from now if they continue to do? Because we know they're doing $15 billion, and then when that runs out, they're just going to authorize another one. So what happens when they reduce the float by 50%, and you have 50% less shares on the market, and they're generating more EPS than they currently are? You tell me that this is still going to be under 100 billion? Like, it's broken. The stock is broken, not the company.
So it might not be under 100 billion, but Palantir just went under 100, so I think we should buy the dip.
Woo!
Yo, this sound, bro. And it's right back above 100, baby. Goodness. Okay, can we talk about Google? Why is this down 8%?
I did not listen to the earnings call.
Well, thank goodness you didn't, because it was boring as hell. Sundar does not know how to get you excited. That's
Listen, you're just used to Karp and Sham, who deliver amazing earnings calls.
You're not wrong.
It's hard to compare other people to the charisma that the two of them have. It's very hard.
So
I didn't listen to it. I'm planning on either listening to it on the car going home or reading a transcript at some point tonight.
But they missed on cloud. That's, I think, the big reason, right?
They missed a fictitious number. Did I send you the charts I made?
No.
Didn't I send them in the group chat, or did I send them just to Matt? Hold on.
Maybe you sent it to Matt. I didn't see charts.
I may have sent them just to Matt. Actually, I think I put them in the group chat, actually. Hold on.
They missed on cloud. They beat on YouTube.
They didn't miss on clouds.
No. The analysts wanted 11.9, or sorry, 12.1.
Okay, but the analysts don't work for the company. That's like saying Amazon that quarter that I got all bent out of shape missed when they came in the mid-range of their guidance that they give the quarter before. And because fictitious number that it came in 100 million.
Okay, but you can complain all you want about the analysts, but they determine the expectation. So I don't think your complaints matter. Like, they missed.
Hold on.
It is what
Obviously,
it is. They
don't matter. Obviously.
Yeah, and when you miss it,
I sent those. Hold on.
AMD also missed.
I didn't send it. I updated all the charts, and their growth and what they're projecting is great. I mean, this is also another company from a valuation standpoint that doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
The reason I think Google fell yesterday is because it was at all-time highs. And
it's there. I sent it. You can look right now. It was at I sent it yesterday. Hold on. I'm gonna text it to you so you don't.
I see it. I see it. Yeah, I mean, look, these are a bunch of charts that are showing it's going up and to the right. I see your charts, but they still missed on a couple metrics.
I mean,
that's what's causing it some pain. At least that's what I think.
Once again, they missed a fictitious number. Their cloud is doing great. They're taking market share away. This is something that if it keeps going down, I'm buying more, because in the long run, this is still the most undervalued in the Mag 7 based on profitability. And the fact that they just came out and said they're spending $75 billion on CapEx, nobody's going to be able to compete with them other than Microsoft, Meta, and Amazon. Nobody's able to compete with these companies in whatever they want to do at this point.
Okay, so can we talk about the CapEx? They're spending a lot of money on CapEx. That's great for NVIDIA. Do you think it's the best for Google?
If they don't do it, they're going to be left behind. They don't have a choice.
That's fair.
So you're saying that they should just give up and allow Microsoft and Amazon to get even further ahead?
No, I think they should spend. That's true.
They're not tapping the debt markets. They're spending it from their free cash flow. This is all profitability that's going back into the business. And they don't have a choice. And these companies are going to dictate the future of computing. And we are still not even at full capacity on cloud services. A lot of companies still have to move things into the cloud, and we still are going to see growing demand for years to come.
What do you think about Sundar and his ability to get people excited?
I didn't listen to the call, but if it's anything like the last call, I think that, having somebody else do the conference call may not be the worst idea in the world.
Wow. I didn't expect that take from you.
Well, I mean, if it's look, it's different than 10 years ago. Conference calls are normalized for people to listen to now, yet 10 years ago, normal, regular, everyday investors didn't listen to a single conference call. So they absolutely matter a lot more now than they used to, and may not be a bad idea to have somebody else, to have these people write exactly what they want down and have somebody with charisma deliver it at the earnings call. May not be the worst idea. Have your PR person do it.
That is true. Conference calls are like a thing now for everybody, right? Whereas
they weren't a thing 5 years ago. I can tell you that.
Yeah, no one cared.
Everybody thought I was crazy because I was listening to conference calls.
Yeah. Look, I agree. I think Google, the dip is stupid in Google, but I do think given it was at all-time highs and they missed on some small metrics, that could take it down. But I feel like that's a buying opportunity long term. Yeah, if it gets to 180, that gets really exciting on Google, but I don't think we get that low.
Yeah, let's see how low PayPal gets, because that is look, it's trading at, I think, less than 12 times free cash flow. It's trading like a tobacco company.
Okay, so let's end it off here, and we'll end the stream here with Amazon. What do you expect for tomorrow?
I'm expecting a big beat top and bottom, but we'll see.
I think they're going to pick up the cloud slack from Azure and GCP.
Somebody's picking it up.
Because we know the demand is there, right? So
at the same time, and I don't know what was said on the Alphabet call, but on the Microsoft call was more capacity thing. They have to keep bringing on more capacity, and there's more demand than additional capacity that they're currently bringing on, and that's why they're spending so much on CapEx. Like, this could be a capacity thing, and that's why these companies are spending so much to meet the demand. So I don't think it's fair to say that they're falling off. They just don't have the capacity to fill the services.
Are you generally feeling comfortable in terms of the state of the markets a month and a half into the year?
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you?
Like CPI?
Earnings are pretty good.
Yeah.
So let's see what happens. Ask me again in June.
Well, I'll probably ask you again tomorrow when you call. So.
Well, it's pretty hard. We're not even halfway through Q1 yet. So,
dude, are we buying the dip on Palantir or not? That's my question. 99.80.
No, we're not. No.
We're at 99.80. What do you mean we're not buying the dip on Palantir?
No, you're not. No, don't do it. Don't do it.
Got to go back to 100. See, I could have fucking got my dip just now. Look, now it's at 100. Like,
listen, people are gonna sell and take profit. And you thought I was joking when I said it was going to 125.
Oh, you were joking. You just didn't expect you to be ironically right. You were ironically right. That's what happened.
It was ironically a violent swing to the upside.
I told you to write that article, Palantir to 125, 3 months ago when you said it. Initially, I was like, write the article. You didn't write the article.
No, I can't do that.
Look, regardless, even if we go back to 85, I mean, like the company's execution has been amazing, and so I think it's
you can't take anything away from their execution. You can't take anything away from these guys. I'm just worried that people are going to lose money because people are chasing at valuations that have never held up. That's all I'm concerned about at this point.
Oh, there's definitely some chasing.
I've been very clear on that for months.
Well, we are in a new era for Palantir, hopefully maintaining 100s.
We'll see.
What, do you have a meeting now? Oh, do you want to tell everyone what happened yesterday when you texted me?
No, because I don't even remember what happened. So how about you know? Because I don't know what you're about to say.
When you were in the meeting with your
No.
Steve texted me.
Anyway, don't.
Tell you what I said to you.
No, don't.
I'm not embarrassed to say it.
No, but I'm telling you not to. Don't do it.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, we'll see what happens. But this is markets are going to shake out, I think. But ultimately, they're going to go up. Q1 earnings, I'm really looking forward to.
All right, Steve's article right there on PayPal. Please make sure to click on it, get it trending. Steve is one of the best writers on Seeking Alpha, and so hopefully we can get that article in their ecosystem.
Yeah, and hopefully you get excited about a company that makes a ton of money.
I mean, well, you're not buying, so I'm not excited yet. You need to be buying first before I think you actually care about this one. Like you're both. It's like this XRP bullshit you do. It's like, oh, I'm bullish, but I'm not going to buy. It's like, okay, so why do I care then?
Yeah, because I already bought XRP.
Well, do you have any more PayPal? No, you sold all your PayPal, so you got to get back in.
No. I didn't technically sell. It got called away from me.
Well, you sold the covered call that called away your shares.
Yeah, it got called away because it ran up.
All right. Well, look, I agree with your PayPal thesis. It's just a question now of the narrative on the street.
Oh, the narrative's never going to change. The street doesn't care.
Yeah, I agree.
So, all right. Well, you have fun with your bad self, and I'll talk to you later.
All right. Talk to you later. Okay, what I was gonna say, I don't know why Steve's being so weird about this. I was getting a manicure, and Steve texted me. And he was like, I'm in a meeting with a bunch of lawyers right now. What are you doing? And I was like, I'm getting a manicure. And he was so mad. He was like, I fucking hate you. I guess he didn't want me to say it because he doesn't like that guys get manicures. He's so weird about it. But I don't care, bro. Look at these nails. Fucking legit. I don't care what anyone says, bro. Nails look ugly yesterday. They look good today. So it is what it is. I think he was more upset, though, that I was getting a manicure and he was in a stupid meeting with lawyers for like 2 hours. But regardless, Palantir back above 100. There was your dip, baby. 100 point. Oh, wait. This was the best button to press at this moment. Hold on. Can't believe I didn't press that button right there. Palantir, our dip was at 99.8, but now we're at 100.1. 99.8, 100.1. Dude, I don't know, man. Again, even if we fall below 100, which we fell already today, we could fall there again. It's just the street is excited about this name. And the fact that people will think 95 is a dip to get in just means there's going to be a lot of dip buyers ready at every level. And maybe that doesn't help. Maybe it could keep falling from there, but still very, very strong price action right here on Palantir. What else? I think that's pretty much it, guys. I think we're done for the day. I'll be live on the market close. We got Hoodie trying to get to 54. Street's not letting it yet. 53.60. I wouldn't be surprised if it touches that today. A close above 53 would be ultra bullish going into earnings. That'd be awesome. Nvidia holding well, 123. We'd bought our last 15 at 122.3. 125 average. Let's hope Nvidia has officially bottomed. SoFi 1550. Alibaba's down 2%. Tesla's down 2.5. And Reddit right here is at 215, all-time highs on Reddit as well. Palantir, 100.2. All right, that's it. That is it for me. Yeah, that's all we got. We'll be live again later today. Any big earnings? We're gonna have Qualcomm, ARM, and MicroStrategy, and that's it after the bell. And then tomorrow we got a big one with Amazon, but those are the three ones we have to look at here today. Big Bear AI and HIMS. Congrats on whoever's in those. I mean, you guys have done very well. Snapchat's going down because it's Snapchat, and the street probably doesn't believe in Snapchat, even though they had a decent earnings. But I'm out of Snapchat now, so it's crazy with stocks, right? Like one day you care so much about it, the next day you're like, all right, I don't even care anymore. That stock is whatever. So it is what it is. But in general on Snapchat, look, they're profitable. I think they can stay profitable, but the street's got to start believing in their overall growth narrative. Elf earnings are not today. Elf earnings are not today, right? Elf earnings are Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. It's going to be with Amazon. So Elf earnings will be with Amazon, and we'll be looking at that. Okay, word of the day. Word of the day. What do we have on the word of Okay, I'm back. Am I back? Am I back? I think I'm back. Am I back? Let's see. Let me know if I'm back. That's basically StreamYard saying, all right, buddy, it's time to get off. We're back. Okay, cool. That is literally StreamYard saying, my guy, it is time to get off now. Okay, word of the day is pelagic.
Pelagic.
Of course, pelagic. Of or relating to the seas and oceans. The study revealed how some pelagic ecosystems are affected by plastic waste. The whale is a pelagic mammal, spending most of its life far from the coast. Pelagic. Of or relating to the seas and the ocean. So look, I'm interpreting this word means wet. And let's just say Palantir got me a little pelagic. After those earnings. And that's because Palantir is
Powerful as fuck.
all right. That's it. I'll see you guys on the market close for Qualcomm, MicroStrategy, and ARM. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you guys later on the market close. Bye, everyone.